Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the most creative FNAF fan games ever made. Instead of repeating the same formula night after night, these games constantly introduce new mechanics, surprises, and challenges that keep every session feeling fresh. Some of these never let you settle into a routine, so let's dive into them. 2D FNAF fan games, something you don't see all too often in the mainstream. A few well-known titles may come to mind. Maybe you think of Playtime with Percy, One Night at Flumpty's, or maybe Too Many Nights pops into your head. However, as of recently, I'm sure there's another very popular 2D FNAF fan game that you can think of. One that's made the rounds in my comment section so much that I can't release any video without getting asked to cover it. Five Nights at Frederick's. I was honestly expecting to not like this game, and no, it's not because it's popular. Do you ever get that feeling where you look at something and you just feel like you're not going to like it? Food is a great example. Sure, I've never tried a Brussels sprout, but I can guarantee you that I'm not going to like it. This is the feeling I had when I first looked at Five Nights at Frederick's. And oh boy, am I ever glad you guys wouldn't shut up about it. Because it has easily become one of my favorite FNAF games of all time. Sit the fuck down and listen to me, a 20-year-old, fully grown man, ramble about a game made for children once again. Five Nights at Frederick's is as simple as a FNAF game can get in terms of what is actually going on. Our character's name is Alan Fritter, and we see an ad in the newspaper. Oh great, a new job, let's apply. Frederick's doesn't try to break the mold here. However, don't let that fool you, as there still is a pretty interesting story this game has to tell. Given the fact there's not much exposition to talk about, we instead get to hop right into night one and go over to the office and look at the tools at our disposal. Our office looks very similar to the office from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Two doors to the right and left of us, some cameras, bada bing bada boom, classic Five Nights at Freddy's. So, why does this game stand out to me and so many others then? Well, I'm glad you asked. Opening up the cameras, we will see the first main gameplay loop Frederick's has to offer. Going to the kitchen cameras, we will see that we're able to make pizzas. This will very quickly become the biggest priority in the entire game, but I'll go into more detail with it when it becomes relevant. But to keep it simple, always make sure you have a pizza cooking. When a pizza is done cooking, you will be able to hear a ding sound cue. That lets you know that you need to start making the next pizza. You'll notice that the doors in your office are replaced by lasers. This is one of the many interesting quirks this game has. Let's go over a few other fun stuff in the office. Occasionally, when you flip up the camera, some things have the chance to change in your office. For example, the main poster can change to have references to other fan games such as Five Newfangled Nights, Five Nights at Frick Bears 3, Not Bear, and Too Many Nights. I think including references to other fan games really helps pull the community together, which I really like. With that out of the way, now we can dive into the threats this night has to offer, starting with this game's Bonnie, or as this game calls him, Bernard das Karnickel. Yes, by the way, each of these characters in this game have been given a German name. If you'd like to know the reason why, tough shit, because even the dev doesn't know why he chose to do this. Bernard acts somewhat similarly to Bonnie, being the character that attacks your doors, except this time around he can attack both instead of just one. A big step up from what he usually does. Frederick's has no lights on the doors, so you'll have to look out for Bernard's fingers to be able to tell that he's there. If he is, use the lasers to shock him and he'll run away. If you don't do so fast enough, he'll step into your office and kinda just stand there, blocking the laser button and just kinda stare at you with his dopey ass face. This is also a good portion of the video to bring up how the power usage in this game works. It's obviously the same as any other game in concept. The more things you're using that waste power, the higher the usage will be, and the higher the usage meter is, the faster your power drains. You'll notice a difference in this game than in a game like Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where in FNAF 1, the moment you stop using something, the usage will instantly decrease, whereas in Frederick's, the power will decrease exponentially. However, this may also just be a visual thing, so maybe I'm just talking stupid right now. This night also introduces Chica, or as this game calls her, Clara das Kuchen. Clara is the reason why cooking the pizzas is so important. Clara will enter the kitchen. If a pizza is not cooking, she'll take charge and start cooking one herself. Except there's something really funny about that. And that's that she literally fucking sucks so bad at cooking you would not believe it. If you let Kara put her pizza into the oven, the building will very quickly start on fire. Very on par for a FNAF game, by the way. When the building is on fire, a brand new mechanic is introduced, the sprinkler system. If your building temperature reaches 120 degrees, none of the electronics in the building will work. That means no cameras and no lasers. This, of course, will result in a death, so you have to use the sprinklers to stop the fire. I honestly think that the sprinkler mechanic is the coolest addition in this entire game. Once you use the sprinklers, the monitor in your office will display how wet the building is. The higher the percentage, the longer it will take for things to activate when used. For example, once you use the sprinklers, it will shoot up to 100%. If you were to then do anything, from trying to start another pizza to using the lasers, you would have to wait around 2 seconds before they would actually activate after pushing them. This doesn't make the game impossible, and this percentage will slowly decrease back down to 0, but this is actually so fucking cool. It's something I don't think I've ever seen before. If you fail a mechanic in the game, instead of just losing, you're given the opportunity to correct yourself. However, it does come at the cost of needing you to react even faster until the wetness goes all the way back down. Yes, it does make the night stressful, but I think it's super cool and once again is my favorite mechanic in the entire game. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. There are actually no post-night minigames in Friedrichs, which honestly feels weird to say since I usually spend a pretty decent amount of time in each video talking about them. But since there aren't any, I'm safe to move on to Night 2. God, this game just makes my days so much better. Night 2 introduces 2 new threats. Let's talk about the character you'll recognize more first. Foxy, or as this game calls him, Felix der whatever the fuck, I'm not gonna try to say that. Surprisingly, Felix wasn't given a Foxy-like mechanic. Instead, he almost does the opposite. Kind of. Where in FNAF 1, the more you watch Foxy, the less he moves. Felix is the opposite. The more you watch him, the more he moves. And in much the same way as Foxy. And by that, I mean you don't really have to be looking at him, but rather just have the cameras up. You see, Felix might just be a little bit of an autistic fellow. He really likes this spinning casino wheel. So much so that he will get very upset when it's not spinning. Depending on the difficulty setting, you will have a predetermined number of times that you can flip up the camera before the casino wheel stops spinning. And when it does stop spinning, Felix will haul ass to your office to politely ask you to spin it for him again. He's checking up, he's like, please, turn the wheel back on. I like it when the wheel is on. When he's in your office, he'll block the laser button, preventing you from keeping Bonnie or another character we'll mention later out. To spin the wheel, all you have to do is go back over to the camera and push the spin wheel button, where he will then sprint back out of your office to continue watching it spin. Felix and his mechanics remind me in a way of Clara, a general timer that counts down to an event that will make your run more difficult, and its fix is to just click a button on the camera. Now, you might think that because of that, I'd call this a lazy design, and while technically yes, it is pretty much the same recycled mechanic, I actually think that it makes the gameplay loop more enjoyable. Why? Well, Five Nights at Friedrichs gets you into what I like to call a flow state while you are playing. Every single mechanic in this game works together to make the entire experience feel satisfying to play. Most mechanics in this game are reaction-based, which is something I like to think I'm pretty good at. This leads to a very smooth-feeling gameplay loop where yes, it is challenging, however, you almost always feel in control and every single interaction feels solid and responsive. The other threat this night adds is the endoskeleton in the back room, or as this game calls it, Endoskelet. Endoskelet behaves exactly how Bernard does with a small twist. He too will attack either of your 2 doors, but instead of blocking the button like Bernard, Endo will butt bang your power usage and force it to stay completely full until you inevitably die. I personally think that Endo has the weakest mechanic out of this entire game. However, one thing I do appreciate about him is that at least he has the decency to make a sound cue when he arrives at your door, unlike fuck-ass Bernard. Now, you might think this game seems way too easy. You never have to check the cameras until you either A, hear a very distinct sound cue letting you know to bake a pizza, or B, if Felix runs into your office, and usually, I'd agree. Up until this moment, the game is overall pretty easy. but we have yet to introduce a character that will force us to use the cameras and probably make your butthole pucker more than just a few times. So let's move on to Night 3. Night 3 introduces the main attraction himself, Freddy. Or of course, as you already know, this game calls Friedrich Fazbear. Friedrich is bolted to the stage. So that may lead you to ask the question, how is he even a fucking threat if he can't leave the stage? Well, you see, there's actually a pretty interesting plot twist here, and that's that the game fucking lied. Friedrich is bolted to the stage, however, that doesn't prevent him from moving at all. He'll jump up to the vent on the ceiling and start pulling his way through towards your office. You'll be able to see him go through 3 distinct phases on the cameras. Once he reaches stage 3, you must use the lasers to shock him, which will then cause him to go back to the stage where he will promptly try again. What this mechanic does so well for the game is force you to look at the cameras, giving Friedrich synergy with Felix. Now, I have to be transparent here. There is a sound cue that plays whenever Friedrich enters a new phase in the camera. However, it's pretty damn quiet, and with how frequently characters will be screaming from being shocked, music playing loud as fuck in your ear, as well as a multitude of other things, it will probably be very common for you to just not hear these sound cues because of how faint they naturally are. Now, of course, if you have God hearing, then checking the cameras is literally only necessary when a pizza needs to be baked, Felix needs the wheel spun, or Friedrich needs a good shock. But I honestly feel like this mechanic really ties the whole gameplay loop together. So, what could the game possibly do to spice the gameplay up from here? Oh, for fuck's sake, the power went out. Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! Hold on. What the fuck? More specifically, just the lights. Yeah, that's right. The gimmick of Night 4 is that the only way you can see is through a flashlight that follows your mouse. The cameras will be dark as well, making it harder to see some of the characters. Let's just take a moment to talk about how fucking genius this mechanic is. The only other FNAF game that I can think of that does this is Showman's, and it was brilliant there as well. Without literally changing anything about the game, you've just made it much more challenging. Especially when it comes to Bernard. Oh my god, Bernard. Bernard is the sole reason this night is even remotely difficult. If you remember from earlier, Bernard doesn't make a sound cue when he's at your door. He's also one of the characters that doesn't have glowing eyes. So this brings up the question, how are you supposed to be able to tell he's at the door if you can't see him? I want you to take a good long look at this image right here. Do you see it? Yeah, that's Bernard's hand. That's all you get to be able to tell if he's there. Obviously, looking at it now, it seems so clear. How could you even miss that? But let me tell you, when you're in a game, focusing on managing all the characters at once, this little detail could very easily end a lot of your runs. And that was totally the intention. And I think that's really cool. Again, making the game harder without drastically changing anything. It's awesome. But if you manage to complete Night 4, an unknown figure will appear in front of you and roar, flinging you to the back of the office where you'll fall into a springlock suit and fucking die. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's what happens. And this leads perfectly into Night 5. Night 5 has you awaken, finding out you're not dead inside the suit. Getting back up, you notice the figure that caused your death was Golden Friedrich, the final boss of this game. Using your new powers from the suit, you fucking punch him in the face and he runs away like a bitch. Get ready, guys. Let's talk about the most frustrating character Five Nights at Friedrich's has to offer, Golden Friedrich. Night 5 is easily my favorite night in the entire game. This is the night that really shows off the flow state you can get into while playing this game, and I'll explain why as we go. To start, let's go over how Golden Friedrich works. Golden Friedrich has 4 means of attacking you. The first attack has him go to either of your doors like Bernard. A noticeable sound cue will play, that being him laughing, which by the way you should get used to because he's going to be doing that a lot throughout this night. Deal with him by using the lasers how you'd expect. The next mechanic has him dive into the vent like Friedrich. Deal with him the same way you would Friedrich, just by using the laser. Now we can talk about the other 2 attack methods that aren't seen anywhere else in the game. The first has him appear in your office. When he does, simply fucking punch him in the face. As you can tell by the look on his face after doing so, he is so incredibly shocked that you would even have the balls to attempt something like that. So insane, so he will quickly leave. The final attack, the most soul-sucking, fuck-ass, bitch-ass mechanic. I want you guys to take a guess what he could possibly do. That's right! My least favorite fucking FNAF mechanic ever designed! Teleporting to a random camera and having to search for which one he fucking went to and stare at him until he goes away. Friedrichs, you were doing so well. Why'd you have to do this to me? Why'd you have to bend me over and just fuck me right up the ass? Why? Why add this mechanic and blow up my internal organs like the goddamn 4th of July? I'm basically holding your fucking prison wallet. Go find him on the cameras. How about you go find my nuts? But hey, at least the rest of the night is pretty cool. Unlike most boss fight nights from FNAF games, this night doesn't make the boss the only threat throughout. However, this night will slowly reintroduce the characters you've been going up against as the night progresses every hour. 1 a.m., Bernard and Endoskelet reappear. Night 2, Chica and Felix reappear. 3 a.m., Freddy appears. And finally at 4 a.m., your lights go out once more. And at 5 a.m., the building starts on fire, forcing you to use the sprinklers. And from there, it's just a crazy survival game until the final 6 a.m. This night is honestly some of the most fun I've had with a FNAF game. Slowly reintroducing each mechanic throughout the night just made the whole experience slowly feel like it was getting harder and harder, which, to be fair, it was. 100% go try this game out. You will not regret it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that throughout this night, you've been able to see this memory wipe meter slowly fill up. Well, at the end of the night, it completes, and the character we've been playing as so far seemingly finally dies. Golden Friedrich laughs at the corpse, and that's when we're shot back to the menu to see that there is a night 6. But if we're dead, how is that even going to work? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the second main character of this game, Ella Vanilla. Ella is who we play as on night 6. She discovers a job flyer in the local newspaper and decides that it'd be a great idea to become the new night guard at Friedrichs. Entering the office for the final night, we're greeted to, oh my fucking god, there's Alan right there. That's right. On top of everything we've seen so far, our previous protagonist becomes an antagonist on this night, and he's pretty damn aggressive as well. Now being called Fritterfalle, he acts as an additional threat to make night 6 a pain in the dick. His mechanic is simple, basically being a music box, something I wasn't super thrilled about when I first saw it, but overall ends up not really feeling like one, even though that's literally all it is. Throughout this night, Fritterfalle will attempt to get up and murk your ass. In order to sedate him, all you have to do is hold his nose. According to the lore, the owners of this restaurant actually tell the technicians to do this to Fritter because they know how much of a threat he is. Yet for some reason, they refuse to throw his ass out. But with that, that's all the main game of Five Nights at Friedrichs has to offer. Let's fucking go! Woo! Woo! 217. Ella Vanilla. Fuck yeah, we got SpongeBob over there. Is that Gustavo Fring up here? But, as I'm sure you can tell by looking at the timeline of this video, I still have more I want to talk about. That being the story, and my favorite thing about any game ever, post-game. Let's start with the story. You may think that this game doesn't really have anything else besides what we've already covered with Alan and Ella, but there actually is a little bit more to dissect. I want to first thank commenters such as Lex Gauntly and Redman. If it weren't for comments like these on my Tales of the Bunnyman video, I probably wouldn't feel as confident talking about the story, as it is something I don't like doing because I don't feel like I can do it as much justice as it deserves. I also really want to thank City, the owner of the FNAF Game Wiki, for reaching out to me on Discord to tell me about certain things and clarify any questions I have when researching these videos. Let's start by getting something out of the way. Friedrichs Pizza is not a chain restaurant like Freddy Fazbear's, instead just being a standalone restaurant. The animatronics used to be kept in a location known only as F-NJ02. What the hell does that mean? I have no fucking idea. But at some point, these characters were transferred to another location known as F-PA09, which is the restaurant we see in the game. Throughout the game, you learn how to deal with the threats through the pages of the service manual on your desk. Turning over these pages will slowly tell a very disturbing story. They reveal that each animatronic were noted to have unknown human remains making up a majority of their body. Friedrich has human teeth and eyes, Clara has human arms, Bernard is literally just an amalgamation of human mush, Felix has human eyes, and Endo has human veins and teeth. On Flinguary, yes, by the way, the months are named differently in this game, 29th, 2009, Alan Fritter takes the job at Friedrich's after standing outside the building and slapping the window until he was hired. The reason he wanted the job? I have no fucking idea, and it's not clear in the game either, so just accept it. However, it is clear that the animatronics remember him from past events and are intent on killing him. Throughout the night, you are supposed to be taught the mechanics through the manual on your desk. However, the pages of said manual have been ripped out, crumpled, and scribbled on by presumably previous employees. These scribbles are mocking the animatronics, which I get the funny feeling pisses them off a little bit, and it's confirmed that the characters enjoy killing the guards at the establishment. It's confirmed that Clara made her first successful pizza using Alan's body parts. Bernard used his arms as a back scratcher, Friedrich used his fucking veins as dental floss, which is insane, and Endoskelet used his remains as a suit. As far as I could tell, Felix is the only one who didn't do something fucked with the corpse. Obviously, at the end of the week, Alan gets that Soulja Boy cranked on him by Golden Friedrich and is stuffed inside a spare suit. His memory is wiped, and instead of disposing of the corpse in their restaurant, the owners instead instructed the technicians to use him for testing. Okay, maybe I'm too level-headed, but this seems like a very stupid idea that would get OSHA on your ass in about 4 seconds flat. Of course, Ella Vanilla later takes his position and we play as her in Night 6. It's clear that Alan still somewhat has a presence inside of the suit. Obviously because he can attack you while playing as Ella, but also because through the extras menu, we learn that he responds to Ella's comments through the collectibles menu, and at one point even entrusts her with holding an unstated item appearing as some weird looking snapped object. But really, after this, the story is either unclear or not canon. So as far as I'm aware, that's everything, and Five Nights at Friedrich's truly comes to a close. Overall, I think Five Nights at Friedrich's is one of the most fun FNAF experiences I've ever had. The game is goofy, the story is simple and silly, and the game mechanics are some of the most solid and fun to play I've ever seen. The amount of post-game in the extras menu is also more than I've seen in many other FNAF games, and I definitely recommend you give it a try. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think Friedrich's isn't that great at all? Infamous FNAF fan games. I'm sure just saying that has already caused a few games to pop into mind. One Night at Flumpty's, Five Nights at Candy's, The Joy of Creation, Those Nights at Rachel's, and for some, another franchise comes to mind. One whose name is incredibly ironic, a game whose name is an emotion that everyone wishes to have, although the game causes nothing but the opposite. A game I truly cannot fathom the popularity of. Rest assured, the FNAF fan game series we're covering today is bad. Very, very bad. Join me today as I dive into Jolly, the FNAF fan game series that broke me. Strap in, because this is the longest video I have ever made. Opening into the first cutscene, we're greeted by the newspaper, reading that restaurants have been closing everywhere due to the new Circus Babies Pizza World. Tying this game into the official FNAF lore, the owner of Jolly Entertainment claims he will be competing with Circus Babies. And let me tell you, this fuck-ass restaurant doesn't stand a goddamn chance. Anyways, moving on to gameplay. Jolly seemed to think it'd be an amazing idea to take all of the good mechanics from Five Nights at Freddy's and say, yeah, I could make this worse. To start, we have a large window and one door. You'll notice that each are powered by a typical light switch, which is probably one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. On top of our cameras, we have a maintenance panel which gives us access to our generator. Basically, we have 100% power, like normal, and the generator has 150% power. So if our power gets low, we can use the generator's power to charge our power through this maintenance panel. This mechanic seems a little useless to me, honestly. Why not just give us more power or make our power last longer? Maybe just to give us another thing to distract us? I'm not totally sure. Your camera system is pretty bare bones. Jolly was made a long time ago. It's in the realm of series like Five Nights at Candy's in terms of age, so to an extent, I can forgive this game for being so dated. But rest assured, that doesn't mean I'm going to hold back on ripping it to shreds. Anyways, the cameras. I will give this game credit where it's due. The camera system actually has something I think is pretty cool. This game has 2 floors in the restaurant, with an elevator used to move from floor to floor. I'm not seeing any sight of stairs either, which I'm pretty sure is an OSHA violation just waiting to happen. You can see the camera of this elevator, and on it you can actually cause the elevator to change floors. Meaning that, if an animatronic rides the elevator up to your floor, you can quickly send the elevator back down, causing them to need to use another movement opportunity to move it back up. But don't get too excited about this mechanic, as it is completely obsolete when I start talking about how stupidly fucking hard this game is for no reason whatsoever. So let's talk about Night 1, which starts off strong by introducing 2 characters, Tweety and George. Tweety uses the elevator to get to your office. If you watch my full playthrough on my second channel, Dexter Black, you'll be able to see me get plenty of enjoyment sending her stupid ass back downstairs every time she tried to come up to my floor. Oh, she didn't like that. She didn't like that I switched the elevator at all. Once she arrives at your office, you'll be able to see her in your window. Now pause. I want you to take a long look at this office. Notice how the window is literally nowhere near the fucking door? Yeah? So let me ask you, if you saw an animatronic in this window, would you ever, in a million years, think you need to close the door right when you see them? No? Well, you see, that's exactly what I thought too. But guess what, retard? You're completely wrong. For some reason, God knows why, the developer decided that this window was going to act like the windows from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, except neglecting the fact that the only reason the windows from FNAF 1 worked was because the window was directly next to the door, so it felt like there was no time before the character would arrive in your office. This game, that doesn't work, because you've placed the door a whole fucking football field in distance away from the window, so I'd have zero reason to think the animatronic currently staring at me would blow out my butthole like a Nachos Bel Grande. This is dumb, this is bad. Really fucking bad. But whatever, really. Once you eventually figure out that's how this mechanic works, it should be pretty simple, right? Just close the door and wait for them to go away. Well, yes, exactly. Close the door and wait approximately, I don't know, 400 years. Because the rate at which these stupid robots move away from your door is pretty much zero. It'd probably be faster to just sit in one spot and wait to die, honestly. But whatever, eventually they'll leave and then you're free to open your door. Except, psych moron, since this one took so long to leave, another robot is at your window again! Yay! And who's at your window? Well, probably George. George? How'd you get here? George moves through your camera vents. You'll notice on the vent cams that you'll be able to seal the vent to prevent the animatronics from moving through them. But those probably don't work as you'd expect them to. Let's migrate for a second and talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 3. In that game, when Springtrap enters your vent, you can seal it off, which in that instance, Springtrap's neurons start firing and send a message to the body saying, hey, let's get out of this vent. Clearly, we're unable to continue moving forward. Not in Jolly. There are no neurons to fire in these robots' heads. In their mind, they're just thinking, vent was open minute ago. Why no vent open now? I wait until vent open again, then I continue move. Yeah, that's right. The animatronics will never leave the vents after you seal them, so sealing them really acts more like a stalling system, except closing the vents drains your power, and because of that, it makes closing your vents literally fucking pointless. So basically, if you haven't been paying attention thus far, George crawls through your vents no matter what you do and eats your balls like a sirloin steak. Fantastic. It wouldn't be a FNAF game without a music box like mechanic, now would it? Of course not. And rest assured, this game has one too, using a character by the name of Antoinette. Antoinette appears on camera 11 tied up in some wires. You'll see a graphic on this camera referencing 4 wires holding Antoinette in place. Every once in a while, one of these wires holding him back will break and you'll have to repair it, which takes around 900 decades. If all of the wires break, he'll eat your butt. You'll realize, especially on later nights, that a wire is broken on this guy pretty much constantly, so you'll barely have any time to peel your eyes away from the cameras to work on other things. But realistically, I personally had no problems dealing with Antoinette throughout my playthrough, which by the way, you can check out on my second channel, Dexter Black. That's 2 plugs and we're just getting started. This is a long video, so sit your ass down. It also wouldn't be a game I fucking hate without post-night minigames that serve no purpose other than to be annoying. So let's talk about them. The post-night 1 minigame has you play as Jolly. All you have to do is walk into parts and service where you watch Antoinette go on an elevator and the minigame ends. That's it. Wasn't that just awful? Well, get ready because they're only going to get worse from here. Night 2. What new ass does this bring out? Well, do you remember George? The guy I talked about like 2 minutes ago? Well, Night 2 brings on Maxie. Why did I bring up George? Well, because Maxie is literally just George. She moves into the vent, then to your window. The only difference? Maxie is more aggressive than George is. And George is already pretty damn aggressive, so hearing that was amazing news for me. You know, I think I'd rather grind my ass on a cheese grater than worry about this stupid game that I hate so much. Night 2 post-night minigame time! In this minigame, we play as Jolly again. You, once again, walk into the parts and service room and see Antoinette tied up in wires. At the bottom of the screen, text appears stating, "It's okay." After that, you walk out of the room and you're attacked by an employee and the minigame ends. Riveting gameplay, what can I say? Night 3 brings on the big boy himself, Jolly. And I mean big boy. This dude is round as fuck. You push this guy over and his ass is gonna roll for a long time. He is incredibly boring, much like this entire game. He goes to the elevator and then to your window. He's literally just Tweety, but less aggressive, and seems to sit at your door for about 4 times as long, which is great because Tweety already sits there for ages. Something interesting about Jolly though, if you don't close the door in time, instead of killing you, he'll stand in your doorway looking at you, blocking you from closing the door using his astronomically sized belly. This motherfucker uses the asteroid belt to keep his pants up. Fat piece of shit robot. Night 3's post-night minigame. Is it fun? No. In this one, you play as Jolly. Surprise, surprise. A bunch of kids are standing around, so we quickly vacate the area because the only thing that scares me more than women are children. I hate children. We have to go to the kitchen. Inside, we see the employee from the last minigame who fucked our shit up. Except this time, he just fucks our shit up again. Aren't you getting so much lore and useful information from these minigames? What? You're not? Well, I can't say I'm surprised because these minigames are more useless than a white crayon. Nights 4 and 5 literally add nothing new to the central gameplay loop, so let's just talk about their post-night minigames. Night 4's minigame has you play as Tweety. Just kidding, you play as Jolly. You once again have to go to the kitchen. This time, the employee is preparing a meal. Once you move to the party room where you started, you get your shit rocked by the employee. Why? I have no idea. I guess this guy just hates us. Why he doesn't just destroy us is beyond me if we're causing him this much grief. Night 5's post-night minigame is actually a bit different. We play in the perspective of Jolly, seemingly dismantled in the kitchen. After looking around and being useless for a bit, text appears at the top of the screen that states, "Look at what you've done." And the minigame comes to an end. Something different, finally. Took long enough. But what does this tell us? Well, a whole lot of nothing, really. There's clearly a story being told somewhere here, but I can't for the life of me figure out what it is quite yet. Night 6 is nothing new, just hard as fuck. Really, the strategy in this game boils down to flash the light, wait, flash the light, wait, fix Antoinette when needed, and close the door when needed. Incredibly boring, not fun, a lot of RNG required because all the characters decide they want to forget how to walk once they reach our fucking window. But that's really all Jolly 1 has to offer. This game is incredibly fucking hard. I really didn't spend a lot of time talking about how difficult it is, but dear God, it is really unenjoyable to play. You can see my full playthrough over on my second channel, Dexter Black. But now, let's move from a game that's way too hard to a game that's way too easy. Jolly 2. That's right, baby. Everybody give cheers for video game balancing. Hip hip. Jolly 2 takes place on a cargo ship, where the animatronics are being moved to a different location. For some reason, we're also here, guarding the cargo. From what? Pirates? I have no fucking idea. This is such an odd plot point. I actually think it's kinda cool. Too bad the rest of the game is a snooze fest though. Let's talk about it. Night 1 introduces classic George and Bonnie. That's right. For some reason, this game is mixing in its own characters with the official FNAF characters. It's like a fan fiction, but in game form. And awful. Both in your cameras and on your left and right doors, you'll find a shock button. This button can be used to shock the animatronics. Can you believe it? When you shock an animatronic, it will cause them to go into a system reboot. Who really cares what it does? It makes them piss off, so use it when it makes sense. One extra thing to note is that the shock on the cameras is less effective than the ones at your doors, so the camera shock is really used to stall animatronics from reaching your doors, since the shocks on your doors have a very long cooldown time. Want to hear something really cool? Well, the cooldown wasn't enough to keep this game interesting. So what was added to keep the game just as uninteresting and even more fucking annoying as possible was the addition of 4 leaky pipes found behind you. Every once in a while, one of these pipes will start leaking gas. When the gas is leaking, you can't use your shocks. Wanna guess why? Because the gas will cause the shock to travel to you. That literally does not make any fucking sense at all. While yes, gas can conduct electricity, given the wide space of moving electrons, the power that travels through the gas would be nowhere near powerful enough to cause any meaningful harm to us. But screw it. Whatever, sure, let's imagine that does make sense. When one of these pipes is leaking, all you have to do is turn around and click it. That's it. Jesus Christ, you might as well have just not even bothered adding this mechanic because it can be solved in 2 seconds. Did not make this game more interesting at all. Anyways, the animatronics, how about those guys? Oh yeah, George and Bonnie. George moves around the cameras, meanders into your vents, which thankfully this time don't have a useless ceiling mechanic, and then reaches your left door. When he's there, shock that bitch. Easy. Bonnie is much the same, except he attacks your right door instead. Very boring, I don't care. Oh wait, wanna hear something super crazy, fun, and silly? You can't see the animatronics when they're at your door. Can you hear them? No! What you have to do is constantly be watching the cameras, which is something I actually think this game does really well. It forces you to watch the cameras without a stupid fucking music box mechanic. Characters never move backwards in Jolly 2, so if a character is at a corner door camera one moment and then the next they're not, that means they're at your door and you need to shock them. Don't think I'm going to start gushing over this game. This watching cameras mechanic was done well. The rest of everything else ever was not. Night 2 introduces Chica. She's actually pretty interesting, except the funny part is that I just lied, because she's actually not interesting in the slightest. All she does is travel to the middle of the map and then attack your left door like George. This is some I got the right answer but used the wrong formula animatronic.
How the fuck did you get that answer? No, it's the right answer, but you didn't use my method, you little fucking shit. I'll tell you what you've done. Essentially, you've just shit in my fucking mouth. Do you like that? Do you like shitting in people's mouths, you little freak?
Oh hey, I should probably mention the post-night plush trap style minigame, shouldn't I? After each night, you'll be able to play a minigame called Time to Sleep with Foxy, which, by the way, is the only time he makes an appearance in this game. Time to Sleep consists of you attempting to take a nap in the cargo ship, but Foxy thinks it would be really funny to tickle your feet and make you squeal. While you sit on your bed, your sleep meter will increase. However, you'll be able to see 2 entrances to your room where Foxy can attack. If you listen closely, you'll be able to hear him moving on either side. When you do, you'll have to go over to that door and flash your light at him. Note, when you're not on your bed, your sleep meter decreases, and Foxy is pretty damn aggressive, so have fun never making progress in your entire life. If you manage to beat the minigame in time, you get to skip the first 2 hours of the next night. and this is crucial. Not because the nights are hard, but because they're so incredibly fucking boring, I'd rather put a gun in my mouth than play them ever again. Night 3 brings along Freddy. Spoiler alert, he's boring. Kind of. He at least does something a little different. Rather than attack one of your doors, he can attack either. It's still the same method of stopping him, but he can just choose to attack either door, so I guess that's progress into being interesting land. Nothing else much more to note here, pretty boring overall. I will say it's on this night that using your camera shock to stall the characters starts to become useful, so I guess that's something. Night 4 introduces the man, the myth, the literal wrecking ball of a robot, classic Jolly.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Jolly does something crazy that actually makes this game pretty fun. Psych! Moron, I fucking lied. All he does is attack your right door exactly like every other animatronic does. Somehow, the main character of the game is less interesting than one of the others, which is just crazy to me that you could even make that happen. Nights 5 and 6 are just harder versions of Night 4, with nothing changing. Oh, and also, they're still not very hard at all, so that's cool. Well, I guess all that's left to talk about are the post-night minigames. Dexter, haven't you already talked about Time to Sleep? Well, yes, I have. However, this game also added in stupid boring-ass shit 8-bit minigames just like the first game, except somehow managed to make them even more boring. Let's talk about them. Night 1's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom, where in this universe he would presumably kill them rather than in the back room like in the actual game. Why this detail is changed even though they're adding their story to the original is beyond me. Night 2's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Night 3's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Night 4's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Are you getting sick of this yet? Night 5's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into a bathroom. Wasn't this segment totally worth your time? No? Well, you watched it anyways. So basically, if your brain doesn't work, Afton killed the kids. Wow, shocker. I would have never been able to figure that out without your expert opinion game. Thank you. There is a true ending in this game, however. If you die on night 5, 6, or go to the extras menu and click a small Jolly sprite in the corner, you'll be brought to a minigame exactly like Sister Location, where you have to strategically throw burgers into the mouths of some fat-ass kids. After that, you can collect a bonus hamburger and go to the second floor of the minigame and stand on an invisible platform. After that, jump to the right side of the screen and you'll be teleported to a new minigame. In this new minigame, you'll find a girl in a pink shirt crying like a bitch. Once she sees Jolly, she hugs him, but Afton quickly grabs her and we cut to a cutscene where we're in front of an arcade machine slowly panning out, and the game ends, giving you the true ending. What have I gathered from this? Well, in one of the post-night minigames, we see that it's Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, which I'm pretty sure has never been an event that has ever taken place at a restaurant in history. But I'm gonna take a solid guess that the girl that hugged Jolly in the final minigame was the daughter of the security guard we've been playing as. This game is really pulling at my heartstrings, guys. But that's all Jolly 2 has to offer. This game is somehow marginally worse than the first, which I think deserves a medal because after playing the first game, I didn't think that was possible. Jolly 2 is so incredibly easy that you could probably beat it blindfolded. None of the mechanics are engaging in any way, and the story in no way makes up for the gameplay's shortcomings. Overall, it's a very terrible game that I don't think you should ever play in a million years. Let's move on to the final game in the series, which unfortunately for me, is broken up into 2 chapters, so it's borderline 2 more games I have to cover, and I'm not excited at all, because it's these 2 games that really began to break me. Jolly 3 Chapter 1, aka Where the Rage Begins. How do I even begin? Well, I suppose I should start at the beginning. That would probably make the most sense. The game begins with a cutscene of a car driving to a factory and our player running inside. With a zoom in on a broken Jolly animatronic, his eyes light up, letting us know he's ready to open up a can of whoop ass on us. In this game, our goal is to go into an abandoned Jolly factory and grab some artifacts, which makes it sound like this is about to be like Indiana Jones. However, while those movies are great, this game is not. Loading into this game's control room, which acts as the office, I'm immediately greeted to the shitty fucking smell of Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. What do I mean by that? Well, open your eyes and take a look at this office. Does this not look at all slightly familiar to you? If it doesn't, then you're stupid or have never seen Sister Location before, because this office is pretty much identical to the control room from Sister Location, with 2 large windows on each side of us that can be lit up via a light button and an exit directly in front of us. In Sister Location, it was a vent. In this game, it's a giant door. Flashing our lights, on the left we can see Tweety, and on the right we can see either Maxie or George. I'm pretty sure this is Maxie, since I'm pretty sure the animatronic that sits next to Jolly on the cameras is George, but it could be the other way around. Also in the office is a big lever. Pulling it will release gas from the pipes on the ceiling. That gas fries animatronics. Oh boy, can you take a guess where this is going? That's right, this game is about to mix elements of Sister Location, which is terrible, and the stand in your office mechanic from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which is also pretty terrible. We're already set up for a great time. But I can't go any further without complaining about one of the worst things to ever come out of any game, literally ever, designed by anyone: the Click Team mouse. More specifically, the Sister Location Click Team mouse. If you've ever played Sister Location, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you've only ever seen people play this game and Sister Location, let me fill you in on the horrible experience that it is. Click Team Fusion, the engine used to create most FNAF fan games and every official FNAF game up until Ultimate Custom Night, has a few interesting quirks that almost every game that uses them suffers from. The main problem is in games like Five Nights at Freddy's games that try to fake a 3D effect by having you look back and forth. A lot of the time, especially in Sister Location, you'll be able to see weird distortions on the side of the screen, making the entire game look like it's shaped like a fucking cylinder. And because of this, the mouse has a pretty significant and horrendous issue. While you look from side to side in the office, since we're not actually in a 3D space and what we're looking at is actually just a 2D image being warped to appear 3D, you'll notice that as the mouse hits the exact center of the screen, it looks like the mouse gets locked on the X-axis, and as soon as the screen reaches the end of the 2D image, it looks like the mouse unlocks and can continue to move freely. While I say the mouse is, quote, locked, it actually really isn't. It's moving just as freely as it would when it's on the sides of the screen. But because we're faking a 3D environment in an engine that can't natively do 3D, it leads to this awkward and janky mouse movement that not only looks weird, but feels even weirder. I cannot fucking stand this mouse. I hated Sister Location for it, and I hate Jolly for it even more, because this game is already just hot dog shit ass as it is. But anyways, back to actually talking about the gameplay. Using this gas lever drains our gas. No shit. Where else were you thinking it went? In our cameras, we can open up a special menu, and in this menu, we can refill this gas supply. Where is the gas coming from? Fuck you, that's where. Also on the cameras, you'll see a fan meter. Each camera has its own fan. If the fan ever breaks, which trust me, they will be doing very frequently, your vision will begin to go dark and you will die unless you fix them. Fixing them is easy. There's actually a repair fan button right on each camera. But how do you tell which camera's fan is broken when there's an error? I'm sure you could take a pretty solid guess, and you'd probably be right. You just have to check every single fucking camera until you find the right one. And this will be incredibly annoying due to a character I'll talk about in a minute, but that character is not active on night 1. So who is? There are only 3 characters active on night 1. 3 may sound like a lot for a first night, but one of them is kind of different, so we'll cover him first. In case you have forgotten, Jolly has injected itself into the official game's lore, so all of the original FNAF animatronics are here again, just like in Jolly 2. Metal Foxy is active on night 1. Why are the FNAF characters called metal? I don't really know. Were they not metal before? I have no clue. If at any point one of your camera fans completely breaks, Foxy will appear in the darkness and kill you. That's all he does. I don't know why Jolly hates giving Foxy actual in-night mechanics, but whatever. One character I really don't ever have to worry about, and I actually never even saw because I'm just so goddamn good at gaming, which by the way you can see on my second channel, Dexter Black. Also, fuck it, while I'm shilling the Black channel, go subscribe to my third channel, Dexter Blue, too. You've made it this far in the video, so you must be enjoying my rambling at least a little bit, and I do a bunch of that over on Dexter Blue. Over there I play any games that aren't Five Nights at Freddy's related, so I encourage you to go check it out. Thanks. Back to the cesspool. Another character introduced on this night is Withered Tweety. Withered Tweety is as boring as a character can get. She pisses around on the cameras and eventually jumps headfirst into your office to give you head. But pause. Think, dumbass. It's a robot. Don't have intercourse with it. It's not even a hot robot, so I don't even know why you'd want to anyways. Once she's in your office, just spray some gas on her and she'll leave. The final character introduced on this night is Withered Maxie. She does literally the exact same thing Tweety does. Meanders around the camera and eventually wanders her way into your office. Same shit, different suit, really. Spray her with some of your liquid hot ass gas and she'll run out of the room holding her nose because you smell like shit. As much as I'd love to just start talking about night 2 in order to get this shit over with as fast as possible, we unfortunately have some sister location level bullshit ass minigames to talk about that take place between each night. So let's talk about the first night's fuck ass minigame. The whole point of these minigames is to find these relics that we came to this building looking for. Throughout this game, we're talking to a guy named Theo over the phone, who instead of coming into the building with us to help out, decided he'd rather be a pussy bitch and just call us on the phone the whole time like a clingy girlfriend. Theo leads us into test room 1 and tells us to find a locked safe. After doing so, the security system in the room goes off, and of course, the animatronics are a part of that system. And of course, Tweety is in the room with us. Theo tries to hack the safe but can't, so he sends us a program on our phone that we can use to force the security system off and then use to crack the safe. And for some reason, this program has us play some fuck-ass minigame instead of actually being useful. The goal of this game is to pulse electricity from one door to another, and guide that electricity by using arrows. Every time you click on a square, it creates an arrow, and subsequent clicks turn that arrow 90 degrees. You get it, the idea is simple. So why am I complaining? Well, you see these 20 dots on the left side of your screen? Yeah? You have to do this fuck-ass shit 20 goddamn times. And what makes this take even longer than it already would take? Tweety. Tweety works similarly to Funtime Freddy in his minigame from Sister Location, wherein, while you're trying to play the minigame, Tweety slowly creeps towards you. Every once in a while, you'll have to drop your phone and flash your lights at her over and over again until she goes away. Want to hear the best part? She's voice acted, just like Sister Location, and she only has about 3 fucking lines. And since this minigame takes so long to complete, you can bet your ass we're going to hear each line about 30 times. Doesn't this just sound like a blast? But after you complete all 20 randomly generated puzzles, the security system shuts off and we're free to continue on to night 2. However, before I begin talking about this night, I want to make something clear about the metal animatronics. I do not know exactly what nights they will be introduced for certain. The wiki doesn't inform me, and I don't feel like surfing through hours of Jolly footage just to figure it out. I'll take a guess on the metal animatronics, but keep in mind it might be wrong. The non-official FNAF characters, I do know. Just thought I'd put that out there before we continue. Just kidding! There's still a shitty post-night 8-bit minigame to talk about first. Don't you just hate being alive? In this minigame, we play as a guy named Eric who just got a job at the Jolly restaurant. We're shown around by our boss and told specifically not to go in this room. Afterwards, we go right into that room and get threatened by our boss on the first day. Wonderful. Oh, also, if you walk out of bounds, you can find Antoinette just kind of fucked everywhere on the walls. Anyways, now we can talk about night 2. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, George and Metal Chica. Let's get George out of the way because he's the most boring. Can you guess how he works? If you said exactly the same as Tweety and Maxie but with a different movement pattern, then you'd be correct. Moves around the cameras, enters your office, spray him with gas, and he pisses off. Repeat. Now we can talk about the most annoying fucking character in this whole game. Earlier, I mentioned that there was a character that in combination with your broken fan problem becomes incredibly infuriating. Metal Chica is that very character. Metal Chica has a random chance to appear on a camera every time you switch cameras or open your camera. She's basically the same as Phantom Balloon Boy from Five Nights at Freddy's 3, except with one key annoying difference. When you see Phantom Balloon Boy in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, all you have to do is either close your camera or switch cameras to avoid his attack. Nope, not Metal Chica, she sucks more than your mom. When you see her on your cameras, your only option is to close the cameras. If you just switch cameras, even though she's disappeared from your sight, she will still jump scare you. This may seem like such a small thing to bitch about. Oh, Dexter, you're just nitpicking. It's not really that bad. Fuck you. Yes, it is. I guarantee that if you've played FNAF games before, you've grown accustomed to mechanics just like this. And for some reason, this is the only one that doesn't let you just switch cameras to avoid it. So I guarantee you'll have built up some muscle memory that will lead to you just to switch cameras. But guess what, fucker? That doesn't work anymore. No, it's not hard, but do you know how annoying it is to try and break that habit of just switching cameras? It's a bitch. And of course, when there's a broken fan, you have to already quickly swap between cameras at light speed. So you'll already have your muscles set on focusing on switching cameras as fast as possible to find the broken one. Oh, were you focused on watching the repair fan button that you didn't notice Metal Chica was on one of your cameras for a fraction of a fucking second? Well, guess what? Even though you looked at her for no time at all, get jump scared, dickhead. Ivan G, fuck you for this dumbass mechanic right here. However, there is one small redeemable thing about getting jump scared by any metal animatronic that isn't Foxy, and that's that you won't lose the night, just like the Phantoms from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Instead, your gas system will just fucking break, and you'll have to repair it on your cameras and then completely refill your gas, which on early nights isn't a big deal. But on later nights, it does become a small problem because of how frequently animatronics will be in your office drooling all over you. Alright, let's talk about the next bullshit post-night scavenger hunt for goodies. On this night, you actually have the option of picking two different rooms. You'll eventually have to go to the other one anyways though, so I'll just go over which one I chose on this night. I chose to go into Maxie's room, which is a mistake I will regret for the rest of my life, because this section is fucking brutal. Same deal as last time. Find a safe, trigger the security alarm, do some bullshit on your phone while defending yourself from an animatronic. The difference? Well, the thing you have to do on your phone this time is actually more AIDS than AIDS itself. You will be sent lines of code by Theo to build a program that will shut down the system's firewall so that Theo can hack the security system and the safe, even though he's already done this exact thing once before. The lines of code are case sensitive, and you will only have a certain amount of time to write each line before it refreshes and you have to start all over. So if you're not a fast typer, then I'm sorry, this will be a challenge for you. I have no idea exactly how many lines you need to type, but if I had to guess, it would probably be somewhere in the ballpark of between 20 and 30. This is bullshit. Maxie will be attacking you the whole time. Defending yourself is easy, just put your phone down and stare at her. The problem? She takes forever to move, and the timer on your phone will still be counting down. This minigame takes so goddamn fucking cocksucking long to complete. I think it took me probably a solid 20 minutes to finish on my first playthrough, which you can find on my second channel, Dexter Black. I'm so fucking drained, guys, you don't understand what this series is doing to me, and writing this script, having to relive my trauma that I had thought I had put behind me is absolutely brutal. So please, let's just move on. After completing that bullshit, we move on to the Night 2 post-night minigame 8-bit minigame. Did you catch all that? I don't really care. Let me tell you, this minigame isn't a minigame, it's just a cutscene. Eric is bringing his daughter to work with him, and if you remember, this is an event that happened in one of the 8-bit minigames from Jolly 2. Eric walks into the building and very quickly walks back out to tell his daughter Zoe to not enter the building. He doesn't explain why, but begs her to stay in the car before re-entering the building. And that's where the minigame ends. You know, sometimes when I'm playing a game, I think, wow, this gameplay is truly unrivaled by any other game I've ever played. This game is not one of those games, by the way. Night 2 introduces two new characters that I hate, Metal Bonnie and Metal Freddy. Metal Freddy is less rage baity, so let's talk about him first. Metal Freddy has a chance to appear in your office at any time. When he does, All you have to do is flip up the camera within 3 seconds and he'll go away. If you don't, he'll jump scare you and fuck your gas system, which again can be a huge problem on later nights given how often someone will be in your office. Now, let's talk about Metal Bonnie, and why I hated him so fucking much until I discovered the mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy. Metal Bonnie has a chance to appear in your windows every time you flash your light in them. If he appears anytime you do this, he will immediately jump scare you and fuck your gas supply. In a FNAF game where lights are always a crucial mechanic, this may sound brutal, but you haven't heard about my mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy yet. Basically, the way you perform the mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy is just by not flashing your lights ever. Yeah, forgot to mention that this is literally a worthless mechanic, because you never need to see out of these windows to ever progress through the night at all. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure that out, and you can see how stupid I was in my full playthrough on my second channel, Dexter Black. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it and I did it. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was a possibility and I did it anyways. Now, after beating that night, we can talk about the lovely Night 3 post-night minigame. So which door are we gonna pick here? Let's do this one. Oh fuck, what the dick? Okay, well, we just got jumped and ganked by Antoinette. What the hell happened? Wait, where are we? Oh shit, we're on a conveyor belt or something. It's at this moment some random bitch starts talking at us.
What brings you here? In this harmonious place of ours?
Apparently, she knows we're stealing, and she's about to F us in the A. The conveyor belt turns on and we start getting moved towards a giant fucking spiky crusher that would never under any circumstance ever be in a factory. We're shown we have to rapidly spam the up and down arrows on our keyboard to stop ourselves from dying. When I tell you that you have to spam fast as fuck, I mean it. However fast you think you can spam, I bet it's just barely fast enough. If you stop for even a fraction of a second, you will launch towards that crusher at fucking Mach 25. And how long do you have to spam for? 2 full minutes. 2 full minutes of pressing 2 keys quite literally as fast as you can without ever slowing in your tempo even once. I'm shaking as fuck. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. I'm shitting myself on this motherfucking conveyor belt right now, bro. Don't make me do it. I'll short my pants on this fucking conveyor belt. On God, I swear to God. Fuck me, I'm gonna die. I'm dead as fuck. Say goodbye to my children. I don't have children. Children suck. Fuck, I'm shitting my pants and pissing them too. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, fuck, I'm gonna die as fuck. I'm shitting myself. It's all down to my shoes and my socks. It's all stuck in my This right here is the worst fucking thing throughout this entire series. It truly does not get worse than this. My arms fucking hurt badly after finishing this section. It actually took me 2 attempts because I couldn't do it for long enough on my first try. This shit sucks, and it sucks hard. People say that Jolly 3 Chapter 1 is the best game in the franchise. They're fucking wrong. This is actually the worst shit I've ever played through in my entire life. I would rather sandpaper my ball sack than ever touch this stupid shit ass section ever again. Now, after that disaster, does the Night 3 post-night minigame, post-minigame, 8-bit minigame do anything that's interesting? Well, yes, actually it does. I was pleasantly surprised at how interesting this minigame actually was. In it, we play as Zoe, who, like a rebel, disobeys her dad and enters the building anyways. It's incredibly dark inside, and after a bit of wandering, she's captured by Eric's boss, who, by the way, was William Afton if you couldn't guess. We're shown Zoe crying in a dark room, and we hear the dialogue between William, who's in the dark back room, and Eric, who's locked outside. Inside of the back room along with Zoe are 4 other children, and we get to hear William argue with Eric as he brutally murders all 4 children, leaving Zoe for last, and forcing Eric to listen and watch as his daughter is murdered in front of his eyes. This is some of the most demented shit I've ever seen, but I actually think it's really cool. Not often in FNAF games do we ever get this close to seeing the terrible acts committed by the villains. And while no, I'm not eager to watch child murder, I think portraying it through these 8-bit minigames is a great way to let the game get serious without actually showing anything horrendously vile. Good job, Jolly. This cutscene is actually really cool, and I can appreciate that. But let's get back to the shit show. Night 4 introduces Jolly himself. Can you guess what he does? Fuck you, he just walks into your office, gas him and he's gone. Yes, every single non-metal character in this game acts exactly the same way. I'm not kidding, they're all identical, just with different patterns for how they get around the map. This is actually such garbage gameplay, I don't really have anything to compare it to. It's just embarrassing and a spit in the face to the player. Want a cherry on top? Jolly is the last character introduced in this game, which means Night 5 is going to be the same repetitive bullshit, but just with some more RNG. Aren't you excited? Now, for the post-night minigame, we finally get to go into the room we tried to get into last night, and the room I chose again could have been chosen on Night 2. If you chose this room, you'd be forced into the maxi room on this night. This one is really easy. All you do is find the safe and type in the code Theo gives you. That's it. No security fuck up, just typing in the code and you're home free. The only thing is that the lights to the room turn off and you get a long ass monologue from the girl who tried to squish you to death in the previous night. It's just the typical, "You don't understand our pain" bullshit you've heard 1,000 times before. When the lights turn back on, you can see the faces of the 4 main animatronics, implying that the soul in Jolly is Zoe, Eric's daughter. Zoe tells us to fix the past so history doesn't repeat itself, and then we're free to continue without any bullshit minigame that makes me want to rip my foreskin into pieces and throw them into the air like confetti. The Night 4 post-night minigame, post-minigame, 8-bit minigame consists of Eric on a boat, which I can only guess is the cargo ship from Jolly 2. We have to dodge guards' flashlights to stay out of their sight, and eventually jump into the back of an unmarked van. Which, by the way, I would never suggest anybody do because that's just a terrible idea. But after that, the minigame is over and we can move on. And please, dear God, let us move on because I'm starting to run out of steam here. Before we begin Night 5, Theo calls us and tells us he wants us to grab a fucking animatronic out of the factory and bring it with us. Are you fucking serious right now? You want me to grab one of the fucking murder robots? Are you out of your fucking mind? I think you're crazy. Eat my ass. I'm gonna do it anyways though, so I guess let's just get through the 5th night. I'm not gonna bore you by talking about it because again, it's just a more RNG bullshit version of Night 4, so let's not waste any time and talk about what happens after you beat it. After completing Night 5, we head back to the Octagon and get a call from Theo. He thinks there might be an unactivated animatronic somewhere deeper in the factory. He apologizes and said that he knows we're tired, but to think about all of the money and recognition we'll get if we can pull this off. This seems like the most classic case of manipulation I've ever seen. But even knowing that, let's continue to fall for it every single time anyways. It's what happens in every single relationship, right? And hey, if we've all made it through one of those, what's stopping us from doing it one more time in Jolly? But this is where Jolly 3 Chapter 1 ends, with us heading deeper into the factory on the hunt for an animatronic to take back with us. Will this end up working out for us? We'll find out next week in the next Dexter White video. No, I'm just kidding. We're finishing this up now. All right, let's wrap this shit up, huh? Jolly 3 Chapter 2 continues directly after Chapter 1. Who would have thought? We travel down an elevator into the Jolly Entertainment underground facility in search of a deactivated animatronic. Theo marks a spot on our map, and we actually get to travel around the building much like the movement system in A Shadow Over Freddy's, which by the way is a game I've covered on this channel on Dexter White. You should watch that video after you watch this one. And fuck it, subscribe to Dexter Black and Dexter Blue because this video is sucking my soul out of my body right now. Anyways, after arriving at a door, we scan a key card we have and a robot tells us that we don't have access and to quote, return to our quarters in turn. This audibly confuses Theo and reveals that we are playing as someone who has previously worked for Jolly Entertainment. And if I had to guess who, my money would be on Eric being our main character throughout the games. After a bit more exploring, we enter a security office and a tape begins to play from the CEO of Jolly Entertainment, teaching us how to be night guards. we're told that we'll be put to the test before getting the job, and that he's placed 2 deadly robots in the building to defend ourselves from. Really? This is how you test your interns? Fuck, I see why we quit. But whatever. Instead of letting him explain it, I'm going to explain it because I'm the YouTuber, and it would seem lazy if I just played the phone call out in its entirety, no matter how badly I want to do that so that I don't have to write about this fuck-ass game any longer. Let's get the biggest elephant out of the room, the camera system. This camera system is like nothing I've ever seen in a FNAF game ever, and I'm gonna be honest, I actually really like it. It took me a bit to get used to it, but it's actually pretty cool. The cameras are split up into 4 quarters. Clicking on any of them will zoom in and give you a normal looking FNAF camera map, but with only 3 to 4 buttons on each. Meaning if you want to check on another camera, you have to exit the quarter you're in and select another one. I feel like this makes the pressure of going through the cameras just a bit more interesting and tense, and I think that's something these games have been missing, so good job, Jolly. Anyways, there are only 2 animatronics that can actually end your night in this entire game, and go figure, they're both active on night 1. These characters are Jolly and George. You'll notice in this game that Jolly has taken his head off, and a skinned human head can be seen in its place. Just something Sigma I thought I'd bring up, but yes, this is Jolly. Both characters act the same way, just attacking different doors in your office. Once they get to your office, you'll have to jam their signal. Fun fact, you can tell George is at your office by his glowing eyes like he's straight out of Five Nights at Candy's, so dealing with him is super easy. Jolly, however, is a bit of a tricky one. You cannot see his eyes at the door. So how do you know he's there? Now's a good time to talk about the maintenance panel located behind you. If you turn around, you'll find this panel, and it has 3 tabs located on it. Let's talk about the jammer tab first since I've already mentioned it. Going to the jammer tab, you'll be able to activate the jammer. Damn, did you need a PhD to figure that one out, fuckface? When Jolly or George is at your door, you have to use the jammer to make them go away. But then the jammer has to recharge, which takes a pretty long damn time. If you ever use the jammer when nobody is at your door, the cooldown will last even longer, so really make sure you know where everyone is. I mentioned not being able to see Jolly at your door. Well, first of all, watching your cameras is important, so that'd probably help. Keeping your eyes on George isn't a big deal because you can see him, but Jolly is someone you're going to want to watch. He actually has 2 paths to your left door. The long way, aka the way you want him to go, and the short way, aka the way you don't want him to go. I'm sure you can guess why. Ding ding ding! Because of the jammer cooldown! Good job! Here, you get a cookie. Anyways, you can always double check where both George and Jolly are by using the radar tab on your maintenance panel. I'm sure you can guess what it does. It pings both of their locations on the map. This way you can tell for sure that Jolly is at your door if context clues on the camera aren't enough for you. However, every time you use the radar there is an incredibly long cooldown, so only use it when you really can't find Jolly. But woohoo! You beat the night and we get to move on to the post-night 1 minigame, which by the way are way better than the post-night minigames from chapter 1. You'll be sat in front of a computer. You're tasked with decrypting 10 files each night, which each take a decent amount of time. However, while you're doing this, you'll be being attacked by Rusty Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. Their mechanics are very easy. Every once in a while, you'll hear the sound of a door opening. When you hear it, you'll need to quickly turn around. You'll easily be able to tell which door has been opened, and you need to run over to that door and listen for breathing, just like Five Nights at Freddy's 4. If you hear breathing, you need to flash your light to scare the animatronic away and then lock the door. If you don't hear breathing, then all you need to do is lock the door without flashing your light. Then go back to decrypting. Decrypt all the files and you're home free. All of the animatronics act the same, by the way, so I'm not covering each of them here. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, Shadow Tweety and Shadow Maxie. Shadow Maxie is not ass, so let's talk about her first. She is literally exactly the same as Metal Chica from chapter 1, spawning on a camera and fucking you up if you don't put the camera down, except she acts much like a shadow puppet from Five Nights at Freddy's 3, where she'll fuck up your vision and stun you for a while if she jump scares you. So definitely don't let that happen or you will probably die. Shadow Tweety, on the other hand, is a dick. She will slowly start building herself in your office the longer you look forward. Turning around will make her slowly deconstruct. If she ever finishes building herself, she'll jump scare you and cause a ventilation error. Oh wait, shit, I didn't talk about errors. Just like Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you have 3 errors: ventilation, camera, and AC, all of which can happen at complete random, and you'll have to waste a bunch of time repairing them on your maintenance panel. Choosing not to fix any of them can obviously lead to some major issues, so how about you just do it, you little bitch? But that's really about it. Complete the night and you move on to the decryption minigame again, and then back to the night section. No new characters are ever added, it's just harder and harder every time. Same thing goes for the decryption minigame, so there's really not much more to talk about until the end of the 5th night. After completing the 5th night, we get a short cutscene letting us know we have passed the test and we can work here full time, which also explains why we have a keycard in the first place. Theo gives us a call and tells us that the oxygen system in the building has been tampered with. He gives us coordinates to the control room and we have to book it through the building to fix it. It's at this time I get to tell you about a bunch of fucking bullshit. This time, while roaming around the building, George is active and moving around too. And getting around him is the most fucked bullshit on the face of the earth. I literally don't know how to describe how to beat him because I really don't even know what I did. It seems like every single possible movement ends in a death. You have this hold your breath mechanic you're supposed to use, but there is no visual cue to let you know when you're safe to pass him. What you're supposed to do is hold your breath and wait, then exhale and walk past him. You might think, oh, hold your breath until he leaves. But he never leaves. He just stands there, menacingly, staring you down no matter what you do. If you don't hold your breath for just the right amount of time with literally no sign as to how long that's supposed to be, you're fucked and you have to listen to bitch-ass Theo's cutscene again. This took me a stupid amount of time to achieve, and it's honestly the most unenjoyable part of this chapter. But what happens if you get to the control room? Well, you get the misfortune of playing the most brutal and unforgiving night section this series has ever designed. The goal is to stabilize 10 rooms in the facility, but while this is happening, you're getting fucked by George and Jolly. In this office is a window and a door, just like the first Jolly game. You will have to check the light, and if someone is there, close the door until they leave. But here's the catch, you have a power system, and a power system that goes down so incredibly quickly it isn't even funny. When I tell you that you have to play this night perfectly, I'm not exaggerating. Checking the light is a bad idea. Instead, you should listen for sound cues to let you know a character has arrived. When you hear the sound cue, you shouldn't close the door right away because it'll waste too much power. So wait about 3 seconds and then close the door. If you've timed it right, you should very quickly hear them leave. When they leave, you should quickly check the light and open the door. The reason you need to check the light now is because the sound of a character leaving can actually cancel out the sound of one arriving, which is complete bullshit by the way, and for every microsecond that you're not pressing the light button or the door button, you need to make damn sure you're stabilizing the rooms, because if you aren't for even a second, I promise that you will lose this night. I'm being so serious. You have to play this section perfectly. No mistakes, no misclicks. It is fucking brutal the whole fucking time. If you want to get a really good feel for how bad it is, you can check out my playthrough over on my second channel, Dexter Black. But if you can manage to complete this fucking brutal section of the game, we can continue. Walking through the corridors of the factory, we enter an elevator. Following it down, we reach a massive room. And inside, we find the supposedly deactivated Springtrap animatronic, and Jolly comes to a close. Who is your favorite Five Nights at Freddy's game developer? Maybe it's Mixless for the amazing Tyke & Sons Lumber Co. Maybe it's Scott Cawthon himself for making the series we all love so much today. My answer should be pretty obvious if you're at all familiar with my channel, and that developer is Garrett McKay, responsible for amazing games I've covered on this channel like Fredbear's Frights and A Bite at Freddy's. He was also a 3D modeler for Pop Goes Evergreen, but he's also responsible for another amazing project, a project I've been asked to cover many times ever since the release of my review of Fredbear's Fright. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot, which is the game I will finally be covering in this video. Going into Left to Rot, I had no idea what to expect. I had seen absolutely nothing about the game going into it, which is how I go into most of the games I cover on this channel. All I knew was the game's developer, who I already had a lot of confidence in. So let's waste no time and jump into the long-awaited coverage of Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. Rather than throwing you into a menu screen like most FNAF games, Left to Rot begins with a cutscene, similar to Garrett's other works. This cutscene appears to be an instruction tape, informing workers how to switch from the old Fredbear and Spring Bonnie animatronics over to the new and improved Freddy and Bonnie. We have to dismantle the old animatronics and replace them, afterwards adding Chica by Freddy's side. This is actually really interesting. Instead of just replacing the animatronics, we sort of reused some of the endoskeleton pieces from the old models, meaning that, technically, Fredbear is still a part of Freddy and Spring Bonnie is still a part of Bonnie. Something interesting to think about. After this cutscene, we're actually thrown into another cutscene. We're in a car on the phone with an unknown person. We're told by this person that we're supposed to enter an unnamed building and head straight into the office. Slowly disabling all of the building's systems, we're told that the animatronics inside act as security, and if they touch us, it's not gonna be fun. I know all of you goons think differently, so don't even start with the comments. We enter the building and the real gameplay can begin. On this night, we're in the observatory, and our main goal is to get through each camera and disable their audio and their video. That doesn't sound very difficult, Dexter. Shut the fuck up. You know full well there's gonna be some animatussies trying to hit us from the back. The three characters trying to grab up on us are Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and the Prototype. Fredbear is pretty simple. If you see him standing approximately 6 feet away from you, aka close enough to smell his rancid breath, jump under the desk like they're the trenches in World War I and pray to God that his breath isn't the equivalent to mustard gas. Once he leaves, you can pop back up. Spring Bonnie is much the same, only instead of his breath smelling like all the dead fish on Earth, Spring Bonnie's breath smells like ass. Because you know what they say, you are what you eat, and he's eating a whole lot of ass. Did you know back in middle school, when all of the kids were saying what they wanted to be when they grew up? Some kids said firefighter, some kids said police officer. This motherfucker right here said, I wanna be an astronaut. I wanna explore booty. Absolutely foul robot. The Prototype is a bit different, however. Just being an endoskeleton, he really doesn't have any meat on the bones, meaning there's nothing for you freaks to grab up on. Usually, my metaphors have to deal with the robots touching us, but after reading some of your feral comments, I get the feeling my metaphor should be the other way around. Anyways, if the endoskeleton is in your office, just flash your light at him and he'll go away. Overall, this room isn't too difficult, but really shows off just how creepy the atmosphere for the rest of the game is going to be. Also, yes, I said room, not night that time, because this entire game takes place in a single night, as we make our way through a giant building trying to find something that is so far unknown to us. Let's waste no time and hop into the next room. Before we can go into the next room, however, we have another minigame / cutscene to go through. In this one, we see Freddy, who is actually talking to us. This, by the way, is just another tutorial tape for employees where they're shown how they can remotely control the animatronics while they're on stage. We move his jaw, and my favorite, make him shake like he's having a seizure. Jumping into the next phone call, we stand outside of a mysterious door. Are your nuts quaking staring at this door? Mine are. We're told that behind that door is a storage room, and that inside there are some items that we need to collect. Entering the room, we grab a few remotes and a larger screen. Not totally sure what these things are. Maybe a camera system? Who knows? Now all we need to do is walk out of this door right here and oh god damn it, of course it doesn't have any power. This is gonna be a survival section, isn't it? Hey, future Dexter here. He's right. It's a survival section. To prevent this Dexter from going apeshit feral mode, I'm going to take over this section for him. In this section, we have to charge up the door we need to exit through, while staying safe from Max. Who the fuck is Max, I hear you asking? I have no idea. But he's behind this curtain. Seems to be a puppet type thing, I'm not really sure. As we, slowly as fuck, charge up this door, Max will start making moves, and we have to keep him behind the curtain by flashing our light at him. This room is incredibly easy. Max does not move very fast, and even though the door takes about 2 decades to charge, you won't really ever feel in danger throughout. Going through the dark doorway, we continue. Before entering the next room, we have to interact with yet another tape. This one teaches us how to test arcade machines. We have to play 2 fuck-ass minigames that I hate in order to continue. The first game where you play as Spring Bonnie in space, having to shoot little Bonnies at pizza to defend who the fuck knows what. This game takes so goddamn long to complete. I'm actually getting sick to my stomach even thinking about it. The second game we have to test is an interesting one, to say the least. We play as Sneaky Guy. Who the fuck is Sneaky Guy? I don't know. All you do in this game is run around aimlessly through rooms until the game just shits itself. Thank you, Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. What a great use of my time. After that, we immediately enter Test Room 1, which is just a child's bedroom. A little weird why that would be a test room, but we're going to pretend like that isn't incredibly alarming. The guy on the phone tells us that he's not entirely sure what's actually in this room for us to collect. But before he can say anything else, the phone call goes to static and cuts out, leaving us alone for the very first time. Oh shit, guys, I just pissed the bed. Editor, can you bring a mop please and clean up the piss mess all over the fucking bed? Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I know this is such a big pissy mess, but I don't know what happened to me. Usually I'm better at this. I mean, look at this mess. It's got to be at least a gallon or 2. Thank you, editor. I apologize for this disgusting inconvenience. You can leave now. Thank you again. Sorry about that, guys. Let's just talk about the room now. In this room, the goal is to pry open this vent, slowly as fuck. While we're trying to open this vent, we're being attacked by 2 animatronics of which I don't know the names of, so for the sake of this section, I will be calling them Freak Bob number 1 and Freak Bob number 2. Freak Bob number 1 attacks from the door to the room that's in front of you when the night begins. He will appear at random in the doorway, making a sound cue to let you know he's there. All you have to do is quickly whip around and flash him. With your light, not your genitals. Fucking weirdo. You also have to make sure that Freak Bob number 1's toy stays wound up. If you don't, Freak Bob number 1 himself is going to get wound up. Sexual style. And it's not going to be very fun for you. Freak Bob number 2 is pretty much a nerfed version of Freak Bob number 1, being at your closet door instead. If you hear him, flash your light at him and he'll piss off. No toy to crank, very simple. The only struggle to this room is actually not falling asleep while you wait for this slow-ass, fuck-ass, dumb-ass, stupid-ass fuck vent to open! Alright, pause. Time for me to cut in. This last Dexter was supposed to stay calm, but apparently he couldn't do it either. So hi, I'm Dexter number 3, and I'll be taking over from here. Shoo, now, get out. Thank you. Alright, where were we? Oh yes. Once the vent has been pried open, you're safe to crawl through and move on to the next room. Exiting the vent, we see an exit door. But before we get the opportunity to leave this hellhole, we get jumped by some fuck-ass animatronic who knocks us out. We wake up inside of an unknown room with a tape in front of us. Playing it, we find it's one of the tapes heard in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, teaching us how to climb in and out of Springlock costumes. Oh no, this is about to be bad. After listening to the tape, we go over to a Fredbear costume and open it up. Climbing inside, we slowly lower the suit onto our bodies. Once inside, we play the next tape. As the phone guy tells us not to breathe on the spring locks, we immediately start breathing on the spring locks. This is F-student behavior right here, by the way. Of course, we die, and now's the time I should say that this is definitely not our player in this cutscene. I say that because after this death, we enter Test Room 2. Oh boy. Test Room 2. How I hate you. In Test Room 2, the most immediate threat is the toxicity of the room we are in. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy have been literally ripping ass and hotboxing this room for the last 12 years, and without a gas mask, we will soon die because of it. Luckily for us, we have a gas mask. Putting it on decreases our toxicity level, but whenever the mask is off, it will very quickly begin to climb back up. Dexter, that doesn't sound too bad. Shut the hell up. I haven't even started talking about the animatronics in this godforsaken room yet. Let's start with Freddy and Chica, shall we? These two work pretty much exactly the same, with only one small difference. Freddy and Chica will enter your vents in an attempt to get to you. When you see them in your vents via your cameras, you will have to temporarily disable the fans in those vents to gas them out and make them leave. However, when you disable a vent fan, your toxicity will increase dramatically faster than you can handle. So you need to make sure you're listening for the vent sound cue to let you know they left so that you can quickly turn the fans back on. I said there was a difference between Freddy and Chica, and the only difference is that Freddy is goated and you'll be able to see him in the hallway, giving you a better warning as to when he's about to enter your vent. Bonnie is the next annoying character, so let's talk about him. Bonnie will appear behind you in your window. When you see him, he will lean in real close to give you a kiss. Now pause. While you may feel enticed to reciprocate, I would advise against that. Little did you know, Bonnie doesn't know what a toothbrush is. So unless you're the most disgusting human being on the planet, kissing someone like that probably isn't the best idea. When Bonnie leans in, what you should be doing instead is putting your gas mask on, which scares him away for some reason. Maybe it's because he took the hint that you don't want to kiss him. That's my best guess. But now, we need to talk about the behemoth, Foxy. Allow me to keep my composure when I say this.
This is fucking bullshit! Fuck this stupid ass, fuck ass, dumb ass, bitch ass, dunce ass fox! God damn, I'm gonna give a brother an aneurysm with this dick!
Alright, I said it. I've tried to fight the demons throughout this entire video, but I just can't anymore. I guess I'm not allowed to just be calm and do a normal review without freaking out and losing my goddamn mind. This second test room broke me. This second test room is the bane of my existence. I cannot stand it. Foxy will appear in your hallway. When he does, you need to shut off the power to your office, which means no checking cameras, no blocking vents, and my favorite, no turning around to check on Bonnie! Why are you doing this to me, game? What did I do to you? Garrett, look at me. Look at me with my fucking eyes right now! What happened to you? What did someone do to you to make you design something so absolutely foul, devious, and soul-degrading? I cannot describe how angry I am at this room. You can see my reaction over on my second channel, Dexter Black. When you have to turn the lights off, you have to do so for such a long time. Enough time to take a nap. Fuck it, right? Why not? And how long do you have to deal with this shit-ass cycle for? 6 minutes. 6 soul-sucking fuck-ass minutes. I was so close to ripping out my pubic hair with my teeth while suffering through this horrendous room. 6 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but trust me, this is the longest 6 minutes I've ever been through, especially when I died at 5 minutes about 100 times. I'm drained, completely drained. I don't know if I can continue writing about this game. I don't know if I can complete it. Not so bad when you listen. You know, maybe if you listen more often, people wouldn't call you butt as fuck. Oh my god, that noise scared the fuck out of me, but I did it. Damn! Half an hour on that bullshit! I did it. God, it is real! Thank God! I thought I'd never escape that bullshit! Oh my god. This is making me want to go outside and appreciate life. Fuck FNAF. Fuck YouTube. I need to be out in nature. No, actually, scratch that. Women are outside, and women are scary. Let's stay inside where it's safe and no woman would ever go. And continue to the next cutscene. The next cutscene has us learn how to clean a fursuit, something Cord Kitty should have taken notes on. Freaky fuck. After cleaning the suit, we're thrown into the final test, which is unironically my favorite section in this entire game. During this final test, we have to send what the game calls the suit into the office. This suit will move around the cameras, and whenever we see him without his eyes glowing, we need to press the return button. After doing this about 5 times, the final test is over. Congrats, you've just beaten— Nah, I'm just fucking with you. Of course there's more than that. On top of the suit, we have a few other threats to deal with. Let's start with the Lil Bonnie. Side note, I know these guys have actual names, but I think Lil Bonnie sounds better, so kick rocks. Lil Bonnie will occasionally pop into your office. When he does, all you have to do is use the jumper cables on your desk to shock his nipples and scare him away. Lil Freddy is probably my favorite character in this entire game, however. He will occasionally appear in your window. You'll notice a piece of paper on the window as well. When you see Lil Freddy, you'll have to move the paper to cover his eyes so he can't see you, confirming that Freddy has no object permanence. Lil Golden Freddy is the last character to talk about. He can jump in front of your cameras, fucking them up. And when you see him doing this, all you have to do is reboot the cameras and it's GG easy. After moving the suit successfully to the office, the power goes out, and it looks like Golden Freddy appears in front of us. We try desperately to use a remote control to shock him, but it doesn't work. He lunges at us, cutting to black. We cut back to see the bathroom camera from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and Golden Freddy waving us into the female restroom for some reason. A little bit of a creep freak, if you ask me. Shortly after, he kind of just stares at the camera all weird like, before we're shown we got the tragic ending. Endings? Oh no. So, in my playthrough on Dexter Black, for some reason I never got the other endings. I have no idea why. I have no idea what's wrong with me. But don't worry, I'll cover them here. Just know that from this point forward, all the footage you will see is from Dice Games. Thank you for actually completing this game, Dice, like I didn't do for some reason. Before I cover all the endings, I need to quickly talk about Insane Mode, found in the Extras menu. It's a much more challenging version of Test Room 2, which, fuck that. No way in hell I'm even thinking about touching that bullshit, and I didn't on my playthrough on Dexter Black either. Maybe that's the reason I never got the other endings. Anyways, after beating Insane Mode, we're greeted to what looks to be Freak Bob number 2 from Test Room 1 lying on the ground. The guy on the phone apologizes and says that they will soon go after Afton. We're shown a piece of paper that reads the following. Experiment number 3 notes. Experiment number 3 tests the binding effects of the high energy substance variable to surfaces larger than those in experiments 1 and 2. As the surface variable increases in size, the energy output decreases only slightly. The surface tested on for this experiment was the Mouseki version 2 animatronic. It is unknown whether the results were influenced by integrated motor components of the surface. 2 more experiments will be necessary to evaluate for bias. Experiment overall successful. More details in the experiment log. As some people are aware, Garrett McKay's games are connected. In this note is a reference to Mouseki from Fredbear's Fright. It appears that Freak Bob number 2 might actually just be an earlier version of Mouseki. Now, back to ending grinding. Going all the way back to the phone call before the storage room section, if instead of going straight into the storage room like I did, you instead can turn left and you'll find a safe. Inputting the code 321975, the safe will open and you'll be able to take a small remote out. Using this remote, we can go back to the final test room and use that remote to shock the suit as it enters our office, fucking its shit up, making it get its jiggy on, giving us the good ending. We're greeted to a final cutscene where we box up Fredbear and Spring Bonnie for good, and we're told that because of William Afton, the company has to be sold and the building will be locked up forever. Now's the time where I need to talk about Custom Night. Usually I never talk about custom nights in my reviews, but the custom night in this game is actually very important. There are several pre-built custom challenges that give fun rewards like in FNAF 2, but the all 20 mode is the challenge that's really important. So let's go over how everything works. On custom night, we're in an office we've never seen before, with 4 monitors and 2 hallways leading to our office. First, how do we win? Well, on the 4th monitor, you'll see a list of detections. This is just like the mechanics from Pizzeria Simulator, where we have to deactivate everything on the monitor in order for the night to end. There are actually 2 pages of detections, meaning that we have 10 total to deactivate, and goddamn does it take a long time to even deactivate one of them. So cool, easy enough. Now, what about the threats? Let's start with Timothy, or as we've been calling him, Freak Bob number 2. Timothy will appear in the right hallway of your office. When you see him there, you'll have to use your hyper flash to scare him off. Next up is the prototype. He's pretty similar to Freak Bob number 2. He will appear in the left hallway of your office, and instead of using the hyper flash, you'll have to shine your light at him until he decides it's time to goon again and leaves. Next on the chopping block is Roger, aka the Freak Bob number 1 toy. He just kinda chills on your desk. Keep him wound up to stop him from chomping on that delectable tush you've got. The suit is next. He appears on your 3rd monitor, which has 2 cameras. If you ever see him on any of them, you need to press the advance button to make him run away like a little bitch. Next up is Jeffrey, or as we've called him, Lil Freddy. Lil Freddy will appear on your first monitor, which has 4 cameras. If you see him on one, you need to make that camera go to static so he doesn't see you. Remember, he has no object permanence. Barry is up next, aka Lil Bonnie. He'll appear on the second monitor. It'll be kind of hard to see because of how dark it is, but when you do see him, you need to shock his nipples again. That gets his rocks off. And finally, we have Lewis, or of course, better known as Lil Golden Freddy. Lewis can appear on any of your monitors, and when you see him, you need to reboot it as fast as possible, making him probably the most annoying character in all of Custom Night. The combination of all these characters together is brutal. You will barely have time to do the tasks you need to complete this night. I, of course, have not beaten all 20 mode because I value my sanity, but to anyone who has beaten this like Dice Games, congrats because this is nuts. After completing 720 mode, you unlock access to a final minigame. You play as a character in black inside of one of the pizzerias. You turn off the power to the building and get inside of a Fredbear costume and go to the office to, quote, find the intruder. Once in the office, you grab the security guard and drag him away, giving us the getaway ending, with text displayed on screen stating no one will believe him. We also get a little creep shot of a foot that I know you guys are wanting to give a quick lick. Don't even lie. I actually have a small theory that this minigame shows what really happened in the final test room of this game. When the lights went out, whoever was in that suit that we were trying to get to the office gets to us and drags us away. But because we pick up that special remote, we were able to shock him and stop him. But that's just a theory. A gay theory. Thanks for watching. But with that, that's all Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot has to offer. I thought this game was crazy cool. I think I still like A Bite at Freddy's a little bit more, but holy crap, this game is amazing. Despite my fucking hatred for Test Room 2, I can put that aside and appreciate the amount of work that was put into this game. When you think of the best FNAF games, what games do you think of? What are your top 5 in terms of quality alone? I'm willing to bet that a lot of people share some of the same entries, and I'm willing to bet that the game we'll be talking about today is at the top of some of your lists, because it's definitely at the top of mine. The Glitched Attraction is a FNAF fan game developed by 2 18-year-old developers alone. The reason I mention their age is because of how impressive this game really is, and how impressive it is that only 2 brand new adults managed to design it themselves. When I first learned how old these guys were, I was shocked. The Glitched Attraction is one of the best FNAF games I've ever played. I know a few of you watch my content to get suggestions for FNAF games to play, and for those of you that do not pass this one up. It is one of the most high-quality experiences of all time. Let's not waste any more time and hop into the Glitched Attraction, FNAF's most high-quality FNAF game ever made. Our game begins with us getting a text from a friend asking us to come check out the new Fazbear escape room attraction, and they tell us to bring all of our things along with us. A request that is definitely weird, but since when has weird ever meant bad in a FNAF game before, am I right? So we do just that, pack up all of our things and set out. You heard it here first. The Glitched Attraction is seriously a Five Nights at Freddy's escape room, a concept that sounded so cool I couldn't not check this game out, and I'm glad I did. We arrive at the attraction and 2 helper bots explain what's going to happen, and then we have to give over everything we have. Why the fuck did we bring everything we own if we're just going to give it to some random robots? This is pretty fishy smelling, and I should know because I haven't showered in 8 weeks. With the general rules explained, we continue onto the first section of the escape room as chipper as we can be. We're kicking our feet and heel clicking and shit, we're so giddy. Not knowing what we're getting ourselves into, we can dive into the first room of the Glitched Attraction. The first room has us in a room similar in style to the bedroom from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This room, being the first, isn't very difficult, but let me go over the 4 threats you can find in this room. While you're trying to think, focus, and not be a fuck-up, Nightmare Balloon Boy will be sitting on a chair, because his fat ass wouldn't ever dream of helping anyone, but would instead prefer to sit there and be pointless. But sometimes, he gets a little antsy. You can tell when he's like this because he will visibly seize in his chair until you shine your flashlight at him. It's weird that doing this causes his seizure to stop though, because when I quickly shined a flashlight in my epileptic friend's eyes, he went comatose on the ground and started foaming at the mouth. But to each their own, I guess. If you don't aid in Balloon Boy's assisted suicide, he will jump off the chair and kill you. Something interesting I noted is that Balloon Boy actually makes no noise when he shakes or even when he jumps off of his chair, leading to a majority of his jump scares feeling really awkward. I get why he doesn't make any noise, because it'd be way too easy to not lose track of him, but just something I thought I'd bring up. You'll realize there's a giant window in this room as well, which lets you see outside. Occasionally, you'll be able to see Nightmare Fredbear stalking you from between the trees. Little does he know that his eyes are actually signal beams as bright as those stupid fucking white LEDs that are now being put onto vehicles, so that when I'm driving at night, everybody's headlights look like they have their fucking brights on. So when I flash my brights at them indicating to turn theirs down, then they actually turn their brights on, which simulate what I can only imagine to be the lights of God. And then I feel like an asshole because I just flashed a guy who didn't have their brights on. Sorry to go off on a tangent like that. I just really had to get my frustration about LEDs on cars out of the way, and I really didn't have a good outlet to do so. Anyways, you'll see Fredbear slowly inch closer to your window throughout the challenge, and when he gets super close, you'll have to close the curtains until you hear him laugh, signaling to you that he's gone away, and then you can reopen the curtains. Why on earth do you not just choose to keep the curtains closed for the whole time then? I have no idea. It's not like we need the moonlight to see. The bots at the beginning gave us a fucking flashlight, but whatever, I guess. Speaking of your flashlight, little tiny stupid insignificant Freddles will periodically appear around your room. They make the same noise as they do in FNAF 4, so hearing them shouldn't be a problem, especially considering how god-awful annoying they sound. Shine your flashlight at them and bada bing bada boom, they go away. But if you let 3 stay in your room and assault your eardrums for too long, 2 of them will grab either one of your butt cheeks as the third dives headfirst into your rectum, which some of you sick fucks may find pleasing, but I for one do not. The final threat you have to worry about is Night Marionette. If you somehow, by some miracle, haven't noticed in the footage I've been showing on screen so far, there is a giant hole busted into the wall of the room, which is very poorly boarded up. Why is it boarded up? I hear you asking? Oh yeah, forgot to mention, it's only because, Satan is in there with enough tentacles to make hentai for the next 9,000 years. But, putting that thought aside, Night Marionette will occasionally give a sound cue to let you know she's there. If you look at the hole, you'll be able to see those sex toys, tentacles, creeping out. At this point, you'll need to make a mad dash to the Golden Freddy suit, which is conveniently placed in the room with you, and hide inside of it. Once you do so for long enough, Night Marionette will leave. Now, hold on. I'm not done talking about this stupid fucking Golden Freddy costume yet. I have some complaining to do, if you could imagine. This Golden Freddy suit takes about, 2 fucking decades to put on. I'm not kidding. You will feel like this game is broken or has paused as you are putting this fucking thing on. But if that wasn't enough, taking it off is somehow even worse. Rather than just exiting the costume, instead, the game thought it would be a great idea to have you teleport out of the costume, where you think you'd be able to continue moving around and interacting with things. But no, that'd be too convenient. Instead, once you teleport out of the costume, you have to just stand there for about 4 seconds doing absolutely nothing. No moving, no using your flashlight, just standing there like a dunce as time still passes around you. While in the Golden Freddy costume, did you happen to notice that Balloon Boy was tweaking out? Okay, cool. Night Marionette's gone. Let's quickly exit the costume and flash Balloon Boy. Oh wait! Instead of flashing Balloon Boy, i.e. saving your own life, let's instead stand there like we have an iron deficiency for 5 fucking minutes as Balloon Boy twerks his fat jiggly ass all over his goddamn chair. I really needed to get that out of my system. Surely I won't have to complain for the rest of the video now, right? Anyways, how do we actually beat this room's challenge? Good question. You'll notice on the wall there's a picture of Freddy broken up into pieces, with each piece facing a different direction. You can turn each piece in order to make the picture look normal again, but you'll notice that one of the pieces is missing. On the dresser, you'll see the FNAF 4 box that Scott Cawthon wiped his ass with. Of course, it has 2 locks. You can find one of the keys to the locks in a drawer on the dresser, and the other key in the drawer of your nightstand. Using both of these keys to unlock the locks on the box, bars, opens it, revealing the last piece of the Freddy puzzle. You can take that piece and put it back in place to finish the puzzle, revealing a 6-digit code. Quick tip, this number is randomized every time you play it, so no fast speed running for you, sucker. Going back to the nightstand, you can open a door to reveal a safe. You punch that 6-digit code into the safe, open it, and find a hammer. You can then use this hammer to take the nails off the wooden boards covering the closet door, then open the closet door and escape the bedroom. Do keep in mind that as you are trying to do this, you are getting fucked from all angles by about 179 different pieces of fuck. But overall, I think this is by far the easiest room to complete, which is probably how it should be given the fact that we have a lot more rooms to go through. Speaking of, let's get to the next one. The next room is much larger than the previous. This time there are only 3 threats: Toy Chica, Mangle, and the Cupcake. This room is basically a big circle. Chica will walk around the circle patrolling for you. If you get in her line of sight, she will start to chase you. If she catches you, she will throw the meanest right hook I've ever seen since Muzi. You can hide in any of the several lockers lining the walls, but be aware that not all lockers can open. And if you want to know something super awesome, which lockers open are randomized each time you play, meaning if you lose a run, some of the lockers you hid in before probably will be locked this time. Isn't that awesome? The Cupcake will also patrol around, but he is much less important. He himself can't end your run, but if you're not watching him and accidentally step on him, he will squeak, causing Chica to be alerted to your exact location. For me personally, I hate this type of mechanics in games. I want to note, I don't think they're bad mechanics, I just don't like them. When there's a puzzle, I would like to be able to focus on the puzzle without having to worry about being chased at the same time. It also doesn't help that I don't handle being chased very well in any game, period. But it definitely doesn't help when I'm trying to focus on solving a puzzle on top of that. Just a me thing. But if that wasn't enough for my poor heart to handle, we have Mangle tacked on top of that. Mangle is hiding in the ceiling throughout the challenge. Occasionally, you will hear vent noises. When you do, that's when you know Mangle is about to drop down on yo ass. She has 2 possible drop locations. If you hear the vent noises on a side of the room that you're not on, you can safely ignore her as long as you don't then move to the side she's on. But if you hear her on a side of the room that you are on, you have 2 options. You can either A, move to the other side of the room, which might be a problem if Chica is over there, or B, hide in a locker. If you don't hide and Mangle happens to see you when she drops down, she will start to chase you. And unlike Chica, when Mangle chases you, there's no way to make her stop. At that point, even hiding in a locker won't be enough to be able to protect your cheeks. So, about the puzzle I was bitching about earlier. You'll notice a large door locked via a pin. The pin is 6 digits long and consists of 6 different symbols. Around the dark room, you'll have to find sticky notes on the walls that correlate each symbol to a number, which will give you the code order needed to unlock the door. If you couldn't have guessed, yes, this is also randomized each time you play. Simply find all the notes, type in the code, and you're done. Come on, you didn't really fall for that, did you? That was way too easy. This is a FNAF game, remember? And according to the FNAF game dev rules, difficulty equals quality. So let's make this as hard as possible. After opening up the door and flipping 4 switches to turn the power to the room on, a whole new world of fuck opens up to us, including a brand new threat, Withered Freddy. Withered Freddy sits inside of a music box, which I find weird because the marionette is literally in this room. I don't know why they didn't just use her for this mechanic, but whatever. Freddy's music box will slowly wind down, and if you don't keep it wound up, he will right hook, shatter the glass, hop out, and chase you. Just like Mangle, there's no hiding. If you hide inside of a locker, Freddy will stand outside of it and wait for you to come out. And when you do, you guessed it, he eats your ass. But because the devs of this game hate their players, if you wind Freddy's music box up too much, he will also shatter the glass and then shatter your sphincter. Cool. As if this wasn't hard enough for poor old Dexter to handle. What do we have to do now? Well, inside of the room you opened, there's some shit on the wall and we need to find some gears to make the contraption work. Again, you will just walk around the room and find all the needed gears and put them back in their place. Once you do, a door on the opposite side of the room will open and you'll have to make a sprint of fate over to it. And then finally, the room is complete. This room isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. I actually really like the concept of adding another threat halfway through. I just personally hate it for reasons stated earlier, but that's just a skill issue on my part. Moving on. Do you like complex things? Well boy, do I have a treat for you. The third room challenge is a nightmare. Let's waste no time and do a Tolarian Community College level threat assessment. This room has 4 threats: Springtrap, Dreadbear, Phantom Foxy, and Phantom Balloon Boy. Phantom Balloon Boy is simple, so let's cover him first. He works just as he does in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. He can randomly appear on any of the cameras. If you look at him on the camera for too long, he will jump scare you and cause a video error. Except the video error in this game just means that the camera he jump scared you on can never be used again for the rest of the run, which I promise you is a very bad thing, and the reason will be revealed later. Phantom Foxy can appear in any of the 2 doors connecting to your office. If you look at him for too long, he will charge at you and jump scare you, causing a level of hallucinations to appear. If too many levels of hallucinations appear at once, it's game over. Now, let's talk about the real threats of this night: Springtrap and Dreadbear. Dreadbear can be seen on the cameras and will attack either one of your doors. Do note that you can close these doors and they each have their own power supply. But Dreadbear is unaffected by the doors and will break them down if they're in his way. You'll have to watch the cameras to see which door he will be attacking, and when you see him charging towards one, you will have to hide under the desk on the opposite side of the desk to where he is coming from in order to stay out of his line of sight when he enters your office. Eventually, he will leave and you'll be safe to come back out. Springtrap is a goofy little thing, to say the least. Springtrap will climb through any of 3 vents, which you can see on the cameras. 2 vents bring him to your respective office doors, and the 3rd leads to the vent that is directly above you. If you see Springtrap climbing through a door vent, you will have to simply close the door to the side he's going towards. If you see him climbing through a vent that brings him to the top of your office, you'll need to quickly turn off the power to the office and hide under your desk. He'll drop down, and once he can't see you because the lights are off, he will leave. You got all that down? Good. Because we have a whole load more of fuck to talk about next. That being, how do we escape this room? Well, the goal is to open a tiny vent near the ground beneath the TV screen. To start, you'll want to check near the desk to look for a code. It's random every time, and where it appears next to the desk is also random every time, so have fun. Once you get the code, you head over to the TV screen and press Developer Mode, and then type in the code you found in your office. This lets you activate Developer Mode, which opens up a door on the wall revealing a token. Keep in mind, all of the threats are active at this time. Using the token, you pop that puppy into the big arcade machine in your office, which promptly starts up a game. That's right, while defending yourself from an onslaught of fuck, you will also have to play an entirely other game at the same time. The game in question, Save the Children, is really just a bunch of fetch quests. To start, you'll talk to Balloon Boy, who is fishing and says he needs some balloons. By the way, if you couldn't have guessed, all of the items that you'll be collecting in this minigame will be in a random location every time you play, because God hates you. When you bring the balloons back to Balloon Boy, he will give you one of the fish he caught. Then you need to find Old Man Consequences and give him the fish, since the pond he's fishing in doesn't have any. Once you give him the fish, he gives you a lily pad for some fucking reason. Don't question it. We don't have time to question it because I neglected to mention there's a fire spreading through the building as you're escaping, and if you take too long, it will reach your office and kill you. No, I'm not joking. Oh, and again, keep in mind all of the threats I mentioned are still pulverizing your butthole. Once you have the lily pad, you'll take it back to Balloon Boy's pond and use it as a bridge to talk to this fucking robot thing. The robot says its watch is broken, so fuck you, go look for a clock. Once you find the clock and bring it back to the robot, he gives you a penguin, I think is what that thing is. Then you take the penguin over to Lolbit, who gives you a key to unlock a gate, which then leads you to an area where you need to unlock another gate. Yes, this minigame is still happening right now. You spelunk into a cave and talk to some dude who thinks the cave is too dark. You then have to leave the cave and go look for a torch, head all the way back and give the torch to him. He will then give you a key to unlock the other gate, and when you do, you'll exit the area, leading to a William Afton cutscene where he goes sicko mode inside of his Springlock suit. And finally, you have to sit there and wait as the game reboots. Again, we're on a time crunch, so your butthole will probably be puckered at this point. Again, threats are still up the wazoo right now, so don't get comfortable. Once the system reboots, you'll get another 5-digit code which you can use to unlock a box on the office desk, which reveals a key. You then use the key on a keyhole in the fucking wall for some reason, and at this point, no matter how much time you have left, the game will start to count down from 6. Once the fire reaches your office, the small vent I mentioned at the beginning of this room will finally open, and you'll be free to crawl through it, but not before Springtrap lunges out and grabs your ankle with lust in his eyes and shit. You quickly close the vent and decapitate that bitch, and finally, you complete the room. Holy shit,
This room gave me a panic attack and made me shart my pants. Shall we begrudgingly move on to the next room? I think so. Let's keep this gravy train rolling. Do you enjoy having headaches? If you do, this next room is for you. Let's go over it together. I'll hold your hand. This room is made up of 2 hallways, 2 windows, and a bunch of screens, a small elevator, and a life-size 7-foot-tall circus baby animatronic. The goal of this room is to put baby back together, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's first go over the threats this room has to offer. The first threat is Ballora. At times you will hear her music box begin to play. Depending on which side of the room you hear the music coming from, you'll need to go over to that side's hallway and press an electric shock button that will electrify the doorway, shocking Ballora and making her go away. If she gets in, I'm guessing you can figure out what happens next. Ballora is the easiest threat. What else is there? Well, the 2 other threats are Funtime Foxy and Funtime Freddy. Occasionally, you will hear a gurgling sound cue, letting you know something is wrong with either Foxy or Freddy. You will have to run over to the windows and turn on the light to their room to see where they are. Starting with Foxy, if you see him doing the thug shaker on stage, you just press his shock button, and he will go back to how he's supposed to be. Be careful though, if you shock him too many times for no reason, he'll eat your ass like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. Freddy, on the other hand, is slightly different. His light button doesn't work. Similar to Sister Location, while looking at him, occasionally sparks will fly out of the wires in his room, briefly illuminating. In this small window of time, you'll be able to see where Freddy is located. He will slowly make his way towards the window, and if he gets too close, you guessed it, ass in his mouth, eating it like a cupcake. If you see Freddy getting too close for comfort, you press the tape symbol button, which will make Bon Bon tell Freddy to get the fuck back on stage. And he promptly will. Again, like Foxy, if you push the tape button too many times for no reason, it's time for the bite of 87 on your asshole. Now, back to putting Baby back together to complete the night. You'll notice that Baby is missing both arms and both legs. The first thing you'll need to do is find the Baby chip hidden on the desk somewhere and plug it into the monitor. For some reason, we don't plug it into a computer, but I guess that's not really important now, is it? Once the monitor comes on, we need to call for Baby's different pieces, starting with her arm. The general goal is to get each piece of her delivered and then fuse each of them to her body. Before I get to the fusing part of this process, let me bitch about the delivery process. So obviously, delivering the parts will take time, which isn't what we want because, as usual, we're on a timer here. And because of it, the devs thought it would be oh so funny to have some of the pieces come in broken. And once you put them on and try to fuse them, only then it will tell you it is broken and won't work. And you'll have to take the piece back off, return it, which also takes time, and then order and wait for another piece to be delivered. Why was this necessary, guys? What neuron fired off in your brain that made you think, how can I be Satan today? Anyways, let's talk about fusing, because this is really where the headache of this challenge comes into play. Starting with fusing the head, which for some reason wasn't already fused on, even though the challenge started with her head already being on her body. In order to fuse Baby's body parts back to her torso, you have to complete a small minigame. For her head, it's basically just Simon Says, but with numbers instead of colors. But don't worry, the devs weren't just being nice and thinking about colorblind people. We'll get to that in just a minute. This is by far the easiest and least time-consuming part to fuse, but if you mess up a pattern once, you'll have to completely restart the head fusing process. Let's move on to her arms. The minigame for both arms are the same. The goal of this minigame is to divert power from the left side of the screen to the right. You do this by turning a bunch of 90-degree lines and 180-degree lines in order to make a consistent path from left to right. This sounds easy, but holy fucking shit, knowing you're on a time crunch and dealing with 30 pounds of dick in your ass at the same time definitely doesn't make this a smooth process. Do that for both arms and you're on to legs, the part that makes people like me want to die. In order to fuse the legs, you have to play a color matching game. You will see 2 grids of colors, one grid where you can change the colors and on the other you cannot. You have to copy it. Let's get the big elephant out of the room. If you're colorblind or deficient like I am, this challenge is borderline impossible. I'm lucky enough to not be completely colorblind or I would never have beaten this in my entire life. But not only that, but the grid each time has a missing square, as I'm sure you've noticed, but I'm also sure you've noticed that missing square on your side and the missing square on the side you're supposed to copy are in different locations. That's because they rotated the fucking grid. Talk about a headache, am I right? Maybe I'm just brain dead when it comes to this, but trying to comprehend where each color should go when it's rotated was just not a fun experience at all. I'm not even going to lie to you. But once you finally finish fusing all of Baby's pieces back together, a voice will come over the speakers telling you that all of the animatronics have been deactivated and that you should exit through the hall on your right. When you do, you'll be led to the sister location elevator. Getting inside, it will slowly descend and then stop. You'll hear something laughing at you for a while, and then the elevator will suddenly drop and you die. The end. Game over. Okay, not really. That's just the transition to the next room. Are you ready? Because I sure as fuck aren't. Why did we agree to come to this place? It makes no sense. How does this place even exist? I could have died a solid 276 times at this point, and we're not even done yet. Someone needs to get this place investigated by the FBI because this is some bullshit. What a waste of a Saturday, am I right? Anyways, let's move on. After laying on the floor for approximately 8 days, we finally wake up from the fallen elevator. We walk past a large window and see the characters we just went up against. After the events of the last room, these little tiny robot things apparently grabbed all of the characters to bring them to the scooping room. And this room is presumably that. While we look across the floor of once familiar corpses, the bane of my existence and the shit in my diaper emerges from the tangled mess of wires. Ennard. This guy is the single reason why it took me so long to make this video. Why it took me a month to beat this game. For most, it certainly wouldn't have taken this long, but for me, oh my lord, this next room will give me flashbacks like Charlie in the Trees for the next 5 decades, and possibly until I reach my grave. Remember the second room? How I mentioned I don't handle being chased very well? This room made me question if I would be able to continue making videos on this channel, or if I would have to jump ships to another genre to make review videos about. I'm not kidding, not even a little bit. I originally intended to beat this game on stream on Dexter Black, and you can still see my first stream about this game where I gave up on room 2. Well, for the people who tuned into that stream, no, I didn't give up. But you should also be grateful that I didn't stream this entire process because I spent tens of hours trying to beat this next room alone. Let me explain why. Room 5 is the epitome of everything I hate in a horror game. Literally all the way down to the last detail. I'll give you a warning right now. This is 100% a me problem and is totally my subjective opinion. So, the only threat in this room is Ennard. Thankfully, there aren't any more, but dear lord, Ennard is all it needs. In terms of where we are story-wise, the elevator crashing was definitely not intended to happen, as upon beginning this room, we don't get a monitor telling us what our goals are. This is cool as a passing thought, but it's not really cool when you stop to think that there is absolutely nothing to explain what it is I need to do to complete the challenge. Upon beginning, we're given a wind to power flashlight and some writing on the wall telling us to light up a solar panel using the flashlight. Now, I'm already going to pause real quick. We're being shown a new mechanic, the wind up flashlight and solar panel. Cool. Now tell me, do you suspect we need to light up solar panels ever again in this entire challenge? Or the entire game? I'm assuming you said yes, but you'd be completely wrong. No, there's not a single other solar panel in this entire game. So please, tell me, why the fuck were we shown this? Showing us the flashlight makes sense, but there were countless other ways to do it in a much better way than showing us another mechanic that is never used again. This is exactly like the gun in Muzi. But continuing, once we light the solar panel, a large door opens and the challenge truly begins. The overall goal of this challenge is probably the easiest we've seen so far. It's broken up into 5 distinct tasks. Step 1, find a crowbar. Step 2, use the crowbar to force open a drawer near Kyle's desk to get a keycard. Step 3, use Kyle's keycard to open a door, allowing you to turn a generator on that powers computer monitors throughout the room. Step 4, find all 3 computers and input 3 colored fuses into each. The fuses are conveniently placed in boxes right next to the computers, so I appreciate that. And step 5, go back to the generator and turn on the central power, which opens the door, allowing you to climb a ladder and beat the challenge. Sounds simple, right? Well, yes. It is simple, but now I need to talk about the problem. Ennard. Ennard will be patrolling the giant maze of a room the entire time you are performing these tasks. If he sees you, he will begin to chase you. If you get caught, you will lose all progress you've made throughout the challenge. Let me tell you another fact. Unlike every room in this game so far, this room ain't small. No, this room is very fucking large. I hate everything about life. Let me complain about some more stuff. If you are near Ennard, he will hear you and be alerted to you if you do the following. wind up the flashlight. Makes sense. It's really loud. I can understand that one. If you run. Okay, yeah. I've seen that in other games before. Running is louder than walking is, and walking. That's right. If you move, period, while he is anywhere remotely close to you, he will hear you and start to chase you. What the fuck? And once he starts chasing you, there's only 2 ways to get him to stop. The devs must have been smoking crack and playing Dead by Daylight while they were designing this section, because one of the methods used to escape an Ennard chase is by knocking over wood pallets placed around the room. Quickly break the pallets and continue to chase you if you don't hop bottom out of there at light speed. What's the second way of escaping a chase? I hear you asking? Well, it's by stunning Ennard. How do you stun Ennard? I hear you asking again. That's a great question. I have no fucking idea. I'm not joking. I literally have no fucking clue on earth how, on God's green fuck, you're supposed to stun Ennard. How do I know you can stun him? Well, every time you die, which, judging by the fact it took me borderline a month to beat this challenge, I did quite frequently, you will get a tip on the loading screen. One of these tips tells you that stunning Ennard will give you more time to run away than knocking over a pallet will. So I know you can, but the game doesn't elaborate on how to do that as far as I'm aware. So to this day, I still have no idea how to stun Ennard. I don't know what the hell the game is talking about. I'm stumped. But I'm not even close to done talking about this section of the game. No. I spent a fucking month on this. I can dedicate a few pages of my script to it. You can sit down and listen. I don't care if this video ends up being an hour long. You see, there is a very large, steaming hot, glaring issue with this challenge in specific. Since it's technically not a part of the canonical attraction, there's no tip screen at the beginning. But with no tip screen, there's no telling anyone fuck about fuck. So, as I said, there are 3 computers around the level. Each computer has a box of fuses with differently colored patterns on them right next to them. Each computer requires 3 different fuses. How do you figure out which fuses go where? Well, at first I looked at the colors of the wires going into the computer. I thought, maybe this will give me a hint as to what I'm supposed to do. So I tried to grab the fuses out of the box, but I couldn't. So then I thought, oh, maybe these aren't the fuses, and the actual fuses are randomly placed around the map. So I went to look. I looked, and I looked, and I looked, but I never found any fuses. Eventually, I died for probably the 48,000th time to see a tip appear on my screen. You won't be able to pick up fuses until you turn on the monitors. You didn't think to tell me that? You didn't think that was important information to give out earlier? This is why we need the fucking tip screen, asshole. But fuck me, whatever, sure. So then I started trying to figure out how to turn the monitors on. I tried seeing if I could press the buttons on the monitors, but that didn't work, so then I decided to try and find something else to do. Eventually, I found a note next to a door mentioning that Kyle leaves a keycard in his desk to open said door. Okay, cool. Something to do has just fallen into my lap. Let's go find Kyle's desk. Luckily for me, desks are in the same location every time you play, so we don't have to worry about those being randomized. After looking for a very long time, because again, I don't handle being chased well at all, it's like I fucking lock up and start freezing. I don't know what's wrong with me, I just can't handle it. So, most of the gameplay boiled down to me moving incredibly slowly and taking way more time than I ever needed to complete this challenge. But that's how I personally had to do this if I wanted to play it myself, which is also why the footage you're watching right now isn't mine. Thank you, Kono and Indie Fuel. I eventually find Kyle's desk to then find another note from Kyle mentioning that you need a crowbar to be able to open his drawer with the keycard in it. Fuck me. So, after searching for another 100 years, I find the crowbar on a desk and use it to open the drawer to get the keycard. 400 hours and 2,000 deaths later, I use the keycard to open the door and find the generator inside. Flip the switch and boom, the computers are now on. Now, 5,000 deaths later, I finally get to the point where I can pick up the fuses and match the correct fuses to the one shown on the screen. After 25,000 deaths, I managed to correctly match the fuses of all 3 computers. Keep in mind, every time I die, I have to completely restart this entire process, all the way back to shining the flashlight at the solar panel. I'm on the verge of death. So finally, I make it back to the generator to turn it on and finish this godforsaken challenge. And I do, expecting the door next to it to open. It doesn't. Come in real close for me. Come in real close. This fucking door needs a separate key that spawns randomly in the level. I'm going to clench my teeth together so hard that they shatter into a fine powder. This right here is what took me the longest. So finally, after 100,000 deaths, I finally get the key to the generator to unlock the door. Come on real close again for me, real close one more time. Take a guess what's in this room. Is it the exit to let me move on to the next challenge? No, it's just fucking lore. I didn't know this while I was playing. I don't watch videos about the games I play, so I had no idea what was behind this fucking door. I know that's 100% my fault, but dear God, when I tell you how fucking pissed I was when I finally figured out this after hours upon hours of attempts, I was fucking livid. I wish I was recording my attempts so I could show you my reaction. You wanna know what happened after a reasonable crash out in this room? Ennard fucking walked in and killed me, making me start from the beginning again. Once again, I wasn't recording. However, this exact same thing happened to Markiplier, so I'll show you footage of this happening to him instead.
Good. I was about to say.
If that guy could have come in here, I would have been so mad. How could you ever get me in here?
The amount of vulgarities that emerged from my lungs at a speed of Mach 50 in that moment was astronomical. Enough to shake trees and shatter the sound barrier. I was fucking livid. But again, I know full well that this entire section, this entire 4 pages of my script is an experience that only I have had. Nobody else on Earth struggled with this challenge as much as I did. Nobody in history has ever spent a calendar month pouring attempts into this section of a game that should only take 20 minutes to complete. I know it's a skill issue, and a very hard skill issue at that, but I could not, under any circumstance, neglect to mention how bullshit of an experience I had. I hope you enjoyed this segment. I eventually found the door to the generator, opened it, and climbed up the ladder into the next challenge of this godforsaken fuck-ass game. From one anxiety attack to another, let's talk about room 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and that's how many threats we have to talk about in this level. Awesome segue, Dexter. Thanks, Dexter. The first threat we'll talk about is Molten Freddy. Molten Freddy can appear in one of 2 vents occasionally. When you hear or see him in one, you'll have to break your mouse and spam click a lever in the vent to blind him with a light more powerful than the sun. Every time you flash him, he gets slightly pushed back, which leads to you spending an infuriating amount of time spamming the fucking lever to make him go away. The next threat is Scrap Baby. As I'm sure you've noticed, we're locked inside a fenced area. On the outside of the fence is a forest, and occasionally you'll be able to see Baby limping her way out from between the trees towards your fence. When she gets to the fence, she'll hop that shit like an Olympic athlete and fuck your shit up. To stop her, you must go to this random screen in the wall and activate the repel system, which plays the most ear-piercing sound I've ever heard in my entire life. So I totally understand why that makes Baby go away. The final threat is Scrap Trap, who in my opinion is the stupidest looking FNAF character ever designed. You can see Scrap Trap sitting on a chair down a long hallway. You must watch him closely as he will slowly start to move until his head is eventually in an upright position. When it is, you must use the same screen you used for Baby, but instead close the door and use the call system to lure him to you. After waiting what will feel like an eternity, you will be able to hear him stand up from the chair and sprint like Usain Bolt towards the door, and pound on it like he's on speed. Then he will go back to the chair and you can open the door and turn off the call system. By the way, the call system is also the worst sound I've ever heard in my whole life. Thank you for asking. That may not sound all bad, but having to deal with all 3 of these fuckers and do the other bullshit we have to do, I promise it will become difficult to manage. So what is it we have to do? Well, the goal is to remove the chains from a fence gate so that we can open it. Simple enough. To start, you'll notice another screen different from the one used to defend yourself. On it, you'll find the opening minigame from Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator. You will need to complete 4 levels of this game, which in and of itself isn't a hard challenge, but when the music is pretty loud, listening for the other characters can be a problem, especially when Scrap Trap doesn't make any noise until it's already too late. After beating this game, you will unlock a prize that we can't access at this moment, so we'll get back to it in a second. Afterwards, you'll need to look around your surroundings to find 2 pieces of paper with a number ranging from 1 to 3 on them, accompanied by a silhouette of a FNAF character. You can use these pieces of paper to input a code into this little toy thing. I don't know what this thing is, if I'm being honest. You only need 2 pieces of the code because you can just brute force the last one. After getting the code correct, a key will emerge. take that key and run down the hall and unlock a door to the right of Scrap Trap. This is personally where I think this level gets specifically hard, since we'll be spending most of our time in here now, meaning we won't be able to hear Scrap Trap and Molten Freddy. So if you forget to check on them, it's basically GG's. Inside this new room, we can finally obtain the prize we got from beating the Pizzeria Simulator minigame, a Faz coin. You'll notice a projector that's projecting a cut-up piece of paper on the wall. If you pull a lever on the same wall, this tiny little Freddy I can't remember the name of will try to read the projection. But he obviously won't be able to do so because it's only a small piece of a paper, you fucking idiot. Using the Faz coin, you can go back into Scrap Trap's room and insert it into Rockstar Freddy's stomach, and then press 3 buttons on his body in an order listed on a piece of paper. This makes sense, by the way. This will cause his mouth to open, revealing the other pieces of paper you need. Slap those bitches on the projector and put them together like a puzzle, which, side note, is a pain in the ass for no reason. The controls are super janky. Slap the lever with your big Coke can penis, and have bitch Freddy read it. When he does, a door next to Rockstar Freddy will open with some bolt cutters inside. You can use these bolt cutters to cut the chains off of the fence and escape this level. This level might not seem as difficult as some of the other ones have, and while none of these levels are particularly difficult in terms of what you literally have to do, all of the levels, and this one specifically, build up so much stress and really test your nerve control. After jumping down some weird looking cellar door, we enter a new room with a computer in it. It shows an error that it detected human movement. Obviously, we just entered the room, of course. While reading through the files on the computer that detail a plan to revive someone through our corpse. Another human detection error shows up on screen. Knowing that we haven't moved, we turn around and get our shit smacked up by Vanny and get knocked out. Fun fact, you can actually spot Vanny spying on you in almost every other level in the game if you're looking closely enough. Just something cool I thought I'd bring up. We wake up to Vanny dragging us into an unknown room. And rather than me explaining what happens next, I'd rather just show you. Afterwards, we walk through what appears to be memories of the Bite of 87 events, and the game comes to a close. So, from a lore perspective, we were lured to this attraction by Vanny. You may remember at the beginning of the game we got a text from a friend telling us how cool this attraction is, and in the secret lore room, which turns out to be Vanny's secret room, she has a whiteboard full of steps on how to use remnants. One of the steps involves sending a message to someone, seemingly to lure them in, and what do you know, we got a message to come here. Also in that secret room is a tape that can be watched going over how to extract remnant from people. So what the goal seemingly was, using my enormous brain of theorization, the plan was to lure us to the attraction, extract remnant from us in order to give power to William Afton, which is what we are seeing happen in the final cutscene. Case closed. I'm a genius. But as far as I'm aware, that's all the glitched attraction has to offer. Although this game put me through 4 brain aneurysms and a heart attack, I still think it is one of the most impressive FNAF fan games ever made. The amount of detail, skill, and effort put into this is only matched by the other kings of FNAF games, and that cannot go overlooked. I highly suggest you give this game a try, even if you think it's too hard. I don't think you'll regret it. I just really hope they add in a feature to get rid of the nauseating head bobbing because holy shit, I almost threw up multiple times playing this. In the last video, I asked you all what was the funniest experience you've ever had playing a FNAF game. And my favorite comment was this one by Saf the Dark Angel. Needless to say, we love irony here on the Dexter White channel. We're all too familiar with it. The question of this video is, which level of the glitched attraction is your favorite and why? With the question of the video being asked, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya!